I spent 10 years working hard to learn stock trading, never expecting that when I finally became a fund manager, my parents would be ready to jump off a building due to a forced liquidation. Yet, watching this scene, not only am I not afraid, but I burst into loud laughter instead. Because for this day, I have waited a full 20 plus years, watching my seemingly insane behavior. All my colleagues thought I had been driven mad with shock by my parents' impending suicide. However, what they didn't know was that the me at this moment is not the same me from just a moment ago, but rather someone from 20 years in the future. On this day in original history, the rapid crash of Hong Kong stocks led to a forced liquidation, and unable to bear the pressure for a time, my parents leapt from the rooftop. But what they didn't know was that 48 hours later, Hong Kong stocks would hit rock bottom and rebound by 7,000 points, hitting a historic high, and this became the greatest regret in my heart. Even though I later became the world's strongest god of stocks, with a net worth of hundreds of billions, this wound would still torture me at certain moments. Unexpectedly, what I never could have anticipated was that just a moment ago, I actually returned to the exact moment before my parents were about to jump. So in the next second, I rushed toward the rooftop at full speed, hoping I could save them. In fact, in my past life, after my parents jumped, I went home. And after studying the various data analyses my father left behind, I discovered that his formula was actually correct. But the relative who lent them money aiming to cut losses not only froze my father's credit cards, but also spread rumors everywhere, making it impossible for him to borrow money to cover the margin. This was what caused my parents to mistakenly miss the dawn that came 48 hours later. Thinking of this, I used all my strength to sprint upstairs. To my shock, in the next second, as I saw my father holding my mother's hand and about to jump down, I roared out fiercely, "Dad!" Hearing my shout at this moment, my parents turned their heads, revealing boundless shame. Xiao Shui, Dad is sorry, I have completely ruined the rest of your life. Hearing this, I immediately said with burning urgency, "You haven't let me down, Dad. Your theory is correct. Just hold on for 2 more days. The Hong Kong stocks will recover." Hearing this, my parents clearly froze for a moment. But it was only for a moment. "Xiao Shui, the money Dad used to cover the margin has already been cut off. Don't try to persuade me anymore. Dad can't let you shoulder a 4 million debt. Damn it, I have dreamed of returning to this day countless times. But I didn't expect that. Even though God granted me this wish, my father would already be in utter despair. No matter what I say, I cannot change his desire to die. There is only one chance." So I quickly pull out my pager and roar at my father, "Dad, I have a way to cover the margin." What? Hearing my words at this moment, my parents freeze on the spot. In 1998, immediately following the financial crisis in Thailand, Hong Kong stocks suffered a brutal blow, and the financial market of the 9 provinces was severely damaged. The god of investment, Soros, saw through the financial landscape of Asia and used massive capital to short the market, raking in billions of dollars. This is exactly what is written in the textbooks. But according to my research, it was because the 9 provinces lacked investment opportunities, leading to financial loopholes, which allowed Soros to exploit the situation. Therefore, racing against time, I say, let me show you a piece of news. As early as August 8th, the official authorities of the 9 provinces had already released an announcement to rescue the market. This means the Bank of the 9 provinces will inject liquidity to protect Hong Kong. As long as we survive these 2 days, the market will rebound the day after tomorrow to protect Hong Kong stocks. At this, my father frowns. Is that even possible? The reason Hong Kong stocks crashed in such a short time is precisely because the government cannot rescue the market. Rescuing the market requires sacrificing a massive price, causing inflation, which would then cause the entire economy of the 9 provinces to collapse. Seeing that my father does not believe me, I continue to explain, "Dad, listen to me. I have studied the economic environment of the 9 provinces. The 9 provinces is currently in a difficult period for investment. Countries around the world have severed their investments in the 9 provinces, making Hong Kong stocks the only remaining outlet. Currently, the 9 provinces is still issuing more currency to vigorously develop infrastructure. Dad, aren't you a trader? This is going long." The so-called going long means continuously buying up investment-type assets. It may not bring profits in the short term, but by holding it for the long term, it can form an economic lifeline for sustainable development. Since the officials of the 9 provinces want to go long, in order to make these infrastructure investments useful, it's impossible for them to let the financial outlet of Hong Kong stocks collapse. They will definitely rescue the market. That makes sense. For some unknown reason, Shen Xun's father, a trader who had worked his entire life, actually felt that his son's words surpassed his many years of professional experience. One must know that the so-called financial market is actually closely related to policy. But Dad, you don't need to worry about the margin call either. Shen Xun hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said, "You know, I've been helping you watch the stock market lately. I also joined a company. The boss saw that my abilities were good, so he gave me a corporate account with 45 million in it. You should understand what this means, right?" "What?" Shen Xun's father stood frozen on the spot as if struck by lightning. Every securities corporation is made up of a board of directors and a securities regulatory commission. To rake in money, the corporation's board of directors usually opens a corporate account, using inside information to buy at the bottom of the stock market, making some extra cash on the side. This type of behavior is known as market manipulation, but this extra cash must be made safely and securely. Xiaoxun, that money cannot be touched. Shenxun's father said in despair, if they find out, they will kill you. But Shenxun was unwilling to let this opportunity go. He gritted his teeth and refused to back down. Dad, if you still want me to live a good life, then give me 2 days. Give me your private account and let me turn the tables. Is that even possible as of today? Shenxun's father had lost a total of 2 million. At the same time, 4.5 million in funds is needed to cover the margin. However, if Shenxun uses the corporate account and loses money, this won't be something that 4.5 million can solve. Looking at Shenxun's cold, resolute, and courageous eyes, his father knew that he was not joking. After helplessly walking down from the rooftop with Shenxun's mother, Father Shen, with trembling hands, handed over the private account number, password, and identification document to Shenxun. Xiaoxun, if you lose, I will jump down together with you guys. Shenxun replied coldly, we won't lose. In his past life, Shenxun, who had already become a tycoon in the financial world, once said a famous quote, in the financial market, opportunity only comes once. No matter how much knowledge you possess or how bold and decisive your judgment is, as long as you fail to seize that one chance, it can instantly destroy your family. Are you willing to believe in your own theory? A grand gamble where winning means boundless wealth and instant riches, while losing means total bankruptcy and a ruined family. Countless investors sinking into the stock market, clinging to the belief of certain victory, have wagered everything they own. Yet how many of them returned empty-handed? Shenxun left quickly, watching his determined back. Father Shen said in deep remorse, it's all my fault. I've put our son's life on the line as well. You old bastard! Mother Shen suffered a direct mental breakdown and knelt weeping on the floor. Inside the Yuan House Securities Group, Shenxun rushed back to his workstation immediately. The supervisor Ivan saw Shenxun return and looked at him with a gaze that was both utterly shocked and extremely disdainful. Those two actually didn't jump. With millions in debt and their entire net worth completely lost inside, he's actually still thinking about turning things around. It would be better if they just died and got it over with. Under his urging, all the employees returned to their workstations. But Ivan noticed that Shenxun was operating something with intense tension. Could it be that his family's account still has money? Ivan muttered in suspicion. In front of the digital computer, Shenxun forced himself to calm down and took a deep, long breath. After opening a corporate account, he abruptly entered his father's private account. Amidst the complex operations, he transferred 4.5 million from the corporate account. This is a 4.5 million financial gamble, a game with no point of return. Even knowing that Hong Kong stocks will rebound in 2 days, Shenxun still breaks out in a nervous sweat. Not far away, Ivan has been watching him the entire time. With his years of securities experience, he is certain that Shenxun has covered the margin. However, Shenxun's operations do not stop. After staring at the screen for a full 10 minutes, Shenxun's eyes suddenly turn fierce, and he logs into the corporate account. Once again, Ivan senses something is wrong, and he slowly walks towards Shenxun. Meanwhile, Shenxun stares intently at the digital computer, a bold idea rising in his heart. Leverage. The most charming part of the financial game is multiplying profits exponentially by continuously adding leverage. Put the entire 45 million in for me. With 2 taps on the keyboard, Shenxun watches the 45 million in the corporate account clear out completely. He lets out a long sigh of relief. Recalling the excitement of wagering everything in his past life, a crazy thought rises in his mind. There is only this one chance. As long as I stubbornly endure these 2 days, I can absolutely buy at the bottom and bite a massive chunk of flesh off of Soros. Once the funds finish transferring, Shenxun quickly logs out of both accounts and runs out of the corporation at top speed. By now, even if Ivan were a fool, he would know that Shenxun is running away out of guilt. Holy crap, what did this kid actually do? Could he have embezzled public funds? Ivan cannot figure it out no matter what, since Shenxun shouldn't have access to corporate funds in his hands. However, digital computers of this era do not have a function to completely delete file logs. Under Ivan's investigation, the 2 shocking fund transfers make Ivan's legs go weak, nearly kneeling on the floor. He actually touched President Yang's account. The entire night, Shenxun runs wildly through the streets of Beihai City. He knows that the chairman of Yuan House Securities Group, Yang Dong, has been looking for him everywhere, wishing he could skin him alive. But this is still not enough. Hurrying into a shop, Shenxun calms his mind, borrows some A4 paper and writes a full 2,000-word analysis, sending it to the Yuan House Securities Group chairman's office. After that, he dials the landline of his childhood best friend. Do you want to die? Did you touch President Yang's funds? Because Shenxun had previously sent a message to his pager, his childhood friend Wang Yu had waited for a long time, only to immediately yell at him the moment the call connected. Wang Yu's father is a business partner of Yang Dong, the chairman of Yuan House Securities Group. Back then, it was also him who introduced Shen Xun to the Yuanhao securities group. I'm sorry, Shen Xun says guiltily. Brother, I'm going to put you in a tough spot this time. Don't say things like that. Wang Yo and Shen Xun are friends who grew up wearing the same pants since childhood. Their bond as deep as real brothers. Do you have money on you? Do you have a place to go? I'll give you an address. Go hide there first. Hearing these words, Shen Xun's heart warms. During his most difficult times, his basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter were mostly covered by Wang Yu. He knows this rich second-generation heir truly doesn't care about money, fame, or fortune, but only cares about brotherhood. Ah, you, I want to borrow some money from you. Cut the crap. Aren't I just about to lend you money right now? Wang Yo scolds. I still have money in my card, but it's not a huge amount. Shen Xun's gaze is like that of a hunter, radiating a sharp gleam. Brother, I know. Your dad left you a 5 million inheritance and a house. If you mortgage this house, you can cash out about 7 million. Lend all 12 million to me. What? Wang Yu is completely dazed. How am I supposed to get that much out? I don't even have 1.2 million in my card. Trust me. Shen Xun knows there is no time to explain to Wang Yu. He emphasized, after this, I guarantee you a lifetime of wealth and honor. I'm hanging up. Wait for my call tomorrow. Afraid to wait for Wang Yu's reply, Shen Xun hung up the phone. Then, without a moment's delay, he called Yang Dong's office. At this moment in Yang Dong's office, an anxious middle-aged man, while accompanied by a famous economist, picked up the phone. Bang, Shen Xun, how dare you touch my money? Upon finding out about this news, Yang Dong was instantly consumed with burning rage. He slammed the table and stood up abruptly. The potential investigation from the board of directors regarding the whereabouts of this 45 million also made him tremble all over with anxiety. This money must not be exposed to the light. President Yang, when you gave me the account, there was only 20 million in it. I helped you grow it to 45 million. Yang Dong's eyes were bloodshot as he barked. If it weren't for our board's 200 million funds backing you up and giving you inside information, what kind of ability do you think you have to say you earned 20 million so? What Yang Dong said was the truth. In reality, as long as this money was given to any trader with a bit of professional knowledge, they could have earned it back. But I'm giving you a chance to multiply your net worth tenfold. From inside the phone, Shen Xun's incomparably cold and resolute voice came through. As long as you leave me alone, starting from now, and give me 48 hours. You're insane. Yang Dong was so furious that smoke practically came out of his ears. He sat back down in his chair with a headache. What you invested in is Hong Kong stocks. Can't you just invest in Japanese stocks instead, you idiot? If Shen Xun had invested in Japanese stocks, even if there were losses, Yang Dong could still use the board of directors to recover over 10 million. But according to the current trend of Hong Kong stocks, this money of his would most likely result in a total absolute loss. The summary of my analysis paper has already been sent to you. This is an opportunity for you to achieve meteoric success. Go to hell. Yang Dong slammed down the phone. Shouting curses, I will have you killed within 24 hours. You piece of trash. However, in the lonely office, Yang Dong held his head in despair. Laid out on the desk was a piece of fax paper. He had absolutely no interest in looking at this trash. Take it and look at it. Yang Dong irritably threw this piece of fax paper to the economist beside him, Mr. Zhang Kang, a professor from the Cambridge Faculty of Economics. President Yang, rest assured, with me here, you can recover at least some of your capital, Zhang Kang said as he stood up. However, after receiving this fax and reading it carefully, his eyes widened more and more, his emotions fluctuating like a roller coaster, shocked to the absolute extreme. How is it? Yang Dong took a sip of water, trying to calm himself down. After thinking briefly for a moment, Zhang Kang stared straight at Yang Dong, swallowed his saliva and said, you should add another 200 million into the position. Yang Dong instantly spat out a mouthful of water. Insane, everyone is insane. Yang Dong felt like this was a nightmare. President Yang, I am really not joking. Take a look first. Zhang Kang hurriedly handed the fax to Yang Dong. At this moment, hearing the name Shen Xun made Yang Dong wish he could call upon the king of hell to drag Shen Xun down to the 18th layer of hell. Getting him to look at the summary paper was absolutely going to be an extremely difficult task. Economic report of the 9 provinces for the next 10 years. Shen Xun, this bastard, is pretty arrogant. Yang Dong cursed. As a member of the corporate board, Yang Dong had also been the mastermind manipulating billions in capital. What kind of grand storms hadn't he seen? However, after reading through this paper, his gaze flickered slightly with profound focus. He read it through once more. In the paper summary, Shen Xun perfectly pointed out the market rescue policy of the 9 provinces and concluded that this was a once-in-a-century opportunity. Elder Zhang, what do you think? Yang Dong became sober and clear-headed, unable to make up his mind for a moment. This summary surpasses countless lengthy papers and K-line analyses. Zhang Kang rested his chin in his hand, furrowing his brows deeply. As he said, was this really written by a young man in his early 20s? I really cannot believe that this is something written by a wet behind the ears kid. This is completely at the level of an academician. An academician In the 1990s, even a professor was a figure that big shots like Yang Dong would treat with great deference and care. What kind of concept is an academician? He hadn't even met one in person. Elder Zhang. What you mean is we really should continue with this grand gamble. Yang Dong found it hard to believe, but after thinking for a long time, Zhang Kang couldn't come up with an answer. In the end, he sighed and said, "My level is too low. The person who wrote this report has insights that transcend the era. You can only get the answer by asking him." At dawn, Shen Sun, who had squatted in the bushes near his house all night, vaguely heard a string of footsteps. He abruptly snapped his eyes open, only to see a fat man wearing a gold necklace, leading 7 or 8 thugs, rushing relentlessly toward the small villa of Shen Shun's family. "Brothers, don't break the things later, just beat up the people. Remember, you must snatch the property ownership certificate." "Shen Yuan, it's this bastard." Looking at him, Shen Shun's eyes instantly turned bloodshot. His fury so intense, it's as if he wants to devour his flesh and blood. In his past life after Father Shen's death, Shen Yuan used a forged contract to seize their family's villa. In reality, he had only lent them a little over 1 million. But the value of the villa alone was around 700,000. Moreover, the land where this villa stood was extremely valuable commercial land. After my dad died, this beast used this plot of land to rake in millions in profits. Shen Shun grits his teeth in hatred. This bastard lent money to us, precisely to snatch this piece of land away. Sometimes relatives are far more ruthless than strangers. But right now, he cannot show himself just yet. In Shen Xun's memory, this bastard Shen Yuan drove his car here, and he has a habit. He never trusts anyone, not even his own daughter. All of the company's seals and documents are kept in his car, sealed away with a combination lock. Shen Yuan considered this as me avenging my past life. However, after tomorrow, I can give you a chance. Shen Xun's eyes narrow slightly, a trace of ruthlessness flashing through them. As long as you have a shred of conscience left. After this succeeds, I will definitely pay you back a share. As Shen Yuan leads the thugs and swaggeringly enters the small villa, Shen Xun takes out a piece of steel wire from his pocket and dashes toward Shen Yuan's small Buick car. Click click. In his past life, the disheartened Shen Xun had, in order to make a living, worked as a waiter, a truck driver, and done just about everything. It can be said that these survival skills from the bottom tier of society had integrated into his blood and become part of his ability to survive. With a soft pop, using only a piece of steel wire, Shen Xun picks open the door of Shen Yuan's car. What catches his eye is an iron box sealed with a combination lock. Shen Xun smiles faintly, only to see a young girl on the back seat staring right at him. Cousin Shen Xun gasps. This is a slim and graceful, incredibly beautiful young girl wearing a jade green long dress. She stands at 1.7 meters tall, with long flowing hair, eyes like bright moons, skin as fair as milk, and moreover, she possesses an indescribably fresh and pure aura. "Sister Qian, I have some business, so I might have to trouble you." Shen Xun helplessly sits in the driver's seat. The cousin Shen Qian freezes in panic first, then pushes Shen Xun. "What are you doing? If my dad finds out you're driving his car, you're dead." "Bullshit. How would he dare kill me?" Shen Xun says disdainfully, "He's all talk." Shen Qian freezes on the spot, not knowing what to do. She feels that her cousin is a bit different today. In the past, Shen Xun was always quiet and untalkative, only knowing how to study finance. Today, not only has he become much bolder, but he is also exceptionally manly. "Sister Qian, how about you, or how about I drive you back to... Forget it. Let's go to your mom's place." "Is your mom in Beihai?" Without giving her a choice, Shen Xun quickly shuts the car door and starts the Buick saying, while Shen Qian stares at Shen Xun in absolute astonishment, "Cousin, didn't uncle borrow money from our family? Aren't I doing exactly that to make money right now?" Shen Xun pats the iron box. Shen Qian says helplessly, "But even I don't know this password." Right at that moment, before Shen Qian can even finish her sentence, she sees Shen Xun casually extend his hand, press 4 times, and instantly the iron box pops open. "How did you figure it out?" Shen Qian gasps PS in surprise. "Silly girl." Shen Xun doesn't even look at Shen Qian, driving toward the suburbs of Hong Kong City, saying, "This is no ordinary combination box. It can only be opened by pressing the password." At the exact same time the car starts up, Shen Qian's jaw drops in utter astonishment. She is Shen Yuan's own daughter. Yet even she didn't know this, while Shen Xun does. Enough nonsense? Shen Xun frowns and says, "I'm going to meet a friend in a bit. Just follow me today, and I'll treat you to good food and drinks. But you must keep everything that happens a total secret." Facing the authoritative and forceful Shen Xun, Shen Qian acts a bit like a timid young girl, her eyes fixed intently on Shen Xun's side profile. Shortly after, in the new district of Hong Kong City, Yu, "How is everything on your end?" Shen Xun arrives at a hidden public phone booth and dials Wang Your number. Suddenly, a sneaky voice comes from behind him. "Damn it! Why are you here making calls again? Can't you be more careful?" "Wang Yu." Shen Xun turns his head around, only to see a tall, large man, wearing a peaked cap, approaching him with a brick-like mobile phone in hand, saying, "This phone number belongs to the mobile phone." Shen Xun gasps in surprise. "Cut the crap. Wang Yu scolds. Didn't my dad tell me to keep a low profile and not let me talk about it? But let me tell you, you absolutely cannot dump this money into the stock market. I am putting it exactly into the stock market, Shen Xun says without hiding a thing. Are you out of your mind? Wang Yo just glares at him, then can't help but scan their surroundings, hunching his posture as he says, Brother, I am not joking with you. I couldn't fish out that much cash. This money was forced out of my dad's financial department by me. I need to go hide somewhere for a while. How much is there? Shen Xun asks hurriedly. Over 8 million, Wang Yu replies with a pale face. I gave my dad a few sleeping pills. By the time my dad wakes up and finds out, he'll definitely skin me alive. You're a true brother. Although it wasn't as much as he had anticipated, having 8 million could still be considered as fulfilling half of Shen Xun's plan. Seeing his father's Mercedes sedan parked right behind Wang Yu, Shen Xun pats him on the shoulder, heading toward the trunk to grab the cash, saying, You can't run away yet. You still need to do me another favor. What brother do you really want me dead? My dad will definitely beat me to death. Wang Yo gives Shen Xun a playful punch. Shen Xun, however, without any hesitation, takes out 2 travel bags packed with cash from the trunk, speaking coldly, Don't worry. No matter what, you are still his biological son. I'm going to pull off a massive deal. Once this succeeds, the money we'll get will be enough for us to live in luxury around the world for the rest of our lives. Right now, we only have a little over 30 hours. Help me find a few accountants, use a few tens of thousands to buy a shell company, and set up a securities trading account. Today, I will get another 5 million. We will take this 13 plus million and deposit it into the accounts of these companies in batches. Staring straight at Shen Xun, Wang Yo suddenly feels that this childhood friend he grew up with has become a little bit unfamiliar. Brother, I'll tell you the truth. If this 8 million can't be recovered, my dad will very likely go bankrupt, Wang Yu says with a tremble, terrified of his family's downfall. This is all of his cash flow. It won't happen. Shen Xun pulls Wang Yu along, saying, Come with me. Let's get things done first. In a bit, I'll call your dad and give him a massive gift. In Changping Village, Beihai City, an elegant middle-aged man wearing gold-rimmed glasses was searching everywhere for Shen Xun's parents. Finally, under the driver's search, the middle-aged man located Father Shen in his rural single-story house, finding him in utter agony. Old Wang! This person was precisely Wang your father. What threw Father Shen and Mother Shen into absolute despair was that, and what made Father Shen and Mother Shen feel despair was, they found out that Wang Yu, for the sake of Shen Xun, had swindled a total of 8 million. What a sin! Mother Shen cried, her face drenched in tears, continuously striking Father Shen's shoulder. How did I end up marrying a man like you? How can I face the Wang family now? How can I face my son? Sister-in-law stopped crying. Although Father Wang's face was also very grim, he managed to keep his composure. Instead, comforting the two of them, saying, That beast of a son of mine actually drugged his own father, sighed. I already knew a day like this would come. Old Wang. Father Shen's face was covered in tears. Father Wang stared at Father Shen's tears and snapped in frustration. Stop crying. Who told us to be comrades in arms, right? But calming down. Father Wang felt things were a bit bizarre. That younger brother of yours, Shen Yuan, has already called the police. His daughter seems to have been taken away by Xiaoxun as well. However, Xiaoxun doesn't seem like the type of person who would act recklessly. Old Shen, tell me, is that formula you researched and developed really reliable? It is reliable. Father Shen bit his teeth and said with absolute certainty, sighed. Father Wang sighed and said, If that useless son of mine had even 1/10 of Xiaoxun's boldness, I wouldn't have to worry for the rest of my life. Compared to Father Shen, Father Wang could still withstand the storm. He looked at Father Shen with a hint of doubt. Old Shen, do you think Xiaoxun has been pushed too far by the shock? Just now, I received a call from that little beast. Xiaoxun told me to give him one day and he would turn the tables and earn it all back. Furthermore, he even told me to buy some oil, saying that the official authorities would come to borrow money from me. Have you ever heard of this news? Oil futures. Father Shen's eyebrows furrowed. In the structure of the stock market, modeled after the debt market of the beautiful country, futures with oil as the unit had just begun to emerge in the 1990s. Xiaoxun's meaning is that when the official authorities step in to rescue the market, they can't just print money. They will probably absorb a portion out of the private futures market. Father Shen rested his chin in his hand. Father Wang, however, asked in confusion, Isn't that a massive loss then, giving it away for free? Father Shen tried his best to stay calm as he said, Right now, aren't people inside the system the only ones who can buy government bonds? I estimate the official authorities will use government bonds to swap, and it will be an excess amount of government bonds. When the time comes, you can leave these bonds for IU or use them as credit endorsement for the company. There are benefits. Holy crap, is that for real? Hearing Father Shen's mysterious and profound judgment, Father Wang was a little dazed. He didn't know whether the final direction would actually turn out like this. However, the older ginger is still spicier. As the boss of a real estate company, how could Father Wang go bankrupt just because he lost a little cash flow. He just didn't tell that spendthrift son of his, that's all. Old Shen, I still have 2 million in my account. Originally, I was going to use it to save you, but it's not enough to cover your margin anyway. How about this? Those old fogies on the board of directors will definitely look for trouble with me this time. I might as well just get into some oil futures. In case the official authorities really come to swap with government bonds, I can still give them an account of it. Shortly after, by obtaining Shen Yuan's private seals, identification documents, and tax certificates, Shen Shun successfully exploited a loophole in the financial system. Through the method of buying and selling bonds, he transferred and withdrew 5 million in cash. This 5 million was Shen Yuan's entire assets, and a portion of it even belonged to his business partners. It is estimated that after he finds out about this, he will be furious enough to cough up blood, wishing he could eat Shen Shun alive. Inside the hotel room, Wang Yu looked at the elegant and quiet Shen Qian, with infatuation swallowing his saliva. It wasn't until Shen Shun returned carrying 2 travel bags of cash that he snapped back to his senses. Looking at the 4 travel bags on the floor, he gasped, "Good grief! Xiaosun, I've never seen so much money in my life. There's over 10 million here, right?" Wuss, Shen Shun smacked Wang Yu's head and handed a bottle of water to Shen Qian. "Thank you," Shen Qian nodded, staring closely at Shen Shun's side profile. "Cousin, was this money taken from my dad?" "Yeah," Shen Shun replied coldly. "Don't worry. After today, I will multiply this money tenfold, making your dad so happy he'll want to jump off a building." "Xiaosun, is this really going to work?" Wang Yu still couldn't believe what Shen Shun was saying. "Didn't you say you've already invested 45 million using your boss's account? How about we just run away? Take this money and live it up around the world. We can come back after we've spent it all." "Don't worry, my dad is very capable. He can earn the money back in a few years. Get lost." Shen Shun's tone became somewhat strict, and his eyes were filled with absolute gravity. It had been a very long time since he formally manipulated a market, especially after becoming famous overnight, by seizing tens of billions in assets from the stock market of the beautiful country. Reborn into this life, he not only has the expectation of redeeming his regrets, but also a natural sense of mission. That sum of money from my boss is estimated to bring back a return of over 700 million. Most of it will have to be given to him, mostly just to keep me out of prison, while giving me 10 or 20 million on the side. "That's so shady," Wang Yu gasped. "Shady my ass." Shen Shun rolled his eyes at him. "I got all of this secretly. It's already a miracle if I don't go to prison. But still," Wang Yu found it a bit hard to understand what exactly Shen Shun's ultimate goal was. "Brother, why are you making such a massive scene? Just to rake in a sum of money and run away to enjoy life? The risk is way too high, isn't it?" "Cut the crap." Shen Shun silently muttered the name Soros. In his past life, as a trader who personally experienced this financial storm, Shen Shun could never forget the scenes of the aftermath. Countless ordinary citizens lost their jobs, and people lining up on rooftops were everywhere. Every single securities group was filled with boundless rage, curses, and wails. Even though the official authorities of the 9 provinces tried their absolute best to rescue the market, as Hong Kong stocks were the only financial outlet at this stage, it could be said to be of paramount importance. For every single dollar that flowed into the pockets of foreign forces, thousands of people would lose their jobs or even jump off buildings. "Xiaosun, just say what needs to be done." Wang Yu leaned backward, lying flat on the bed, stretching his arms out with zero regard for his image. "I've already arranged the people. I set up 7 companies, so do whatever operations you want." "No problem." Shen Shun looks toward Shen Qian. "Sister Qian, I remember your major is financial management, right?" "Yeah." "Great, that's perfect." Shen Shun rubs his neck, a surge of murderous intent flashing in his eyes. "In 8 hours, a wave of foreign capital will airdrop into the market. What we need to do is trace their cash flow and buy at the exact bottom at the same time as them. We will buy as much as they do. If we can make them bleed even a little bit, we absolutely won't let them take this money back easily." Hearing Shen Shun speak like this, Wang Yu instantly snaps to attention. From the sounds of it, it seems like there is some personal grudge involved. As time ticks away, second by second, at this very moment, countless people in Beihai are closely following the movements of Hong Kong stocks. In the chairman's office of Yuanhao Securities Group, Yang Dong holds a brick-like mobile phone in his hand, staring at the digital computer screen, hesitating slightly over whether to throw the remaining 200 million into the market. In Changping Village, Father Wang and Father Shun hold a telephone receiver, listening to the latest updates on Hong Kong stocks at all times. Inside the office of Shen Yuan's real estate company, after finding out that Shen Shun put the money into Hong Kong stocks, Shen Yuan can only wait helplessly for news, hoping that Shen Shun can turn the tables and return the money to him. And then there's Ivan. He absolutely does not believe Shen Shun has even a shred of hope to turn things around. Yet he still uses his professional skills to keep a deadly close eye on the movements of Hong Kong stocks. Everyone's expectations, hopes, and resentments all rest upon these final 24 hours. At the same time, tens of thousands of miles away, a man dressed in a sharp suit under the admiring gazes of a crowd of financial magnates, officially transfers 4 billion into the accounts of Hong Kong stocks. My friends, let us look forward to the financial world of the 9 provinces. Letting out an agonizing howl, Xiaoxun, after Shenxun, taught Wang Yu how to read the flow of capital. Soon in front of a temporarily assembled computer, Wang Yu violently shakes Shenxun awake, roaring, "It's in! It's in!" The stock price of Mingxi Shipbuilding Group has risen by 0.2, no 0.3. Capital is still flowing in. Shenxun climbs up abruptly. Under Shenqian's calm gaze, he quickly grabs a bottle of water, steps forward, and observes carefully. Perfect. This is that bastard Soros laying his trap. He wants to quietly inject billions of funds into every single blue chip stock, and then let the junk stocks hit their limit down repeatedly. Wang Yu gasps. If they hit the limit down, wouldn't it just be over? Then how the hell are we supposed to make any money? What do you know? Shenxun rolls his eyes at him. The reason Hong Kong stocks were so crazy in the 1990s, making countless people infatuated and obsessed, is precisely because the mechanism it used wasn't macro control, but a reservoir mechanism. Inside a reservoir, it's very hard for you to distinguish which is a blue chip and which is just a junk stock. As the market trend does well, every single stock rises along with the tide. But there will always be a day when it hits absolute rock bottom. When the junk stocks completely die out, the capital that is truly inside the blue chip stocks on the market will keep the stock market running, and everyone will buy in. I get it. Wang, your eyes light up. The stock prices of good stocks will skyrocket, and the bad stocks will also rise as the stock market recovers. But in reality, only professionals can tell the good from the bad, right? Yeah. Shenxun pats Wang Yor's shoulder. A rising tide lifts all boats. These words are the absolute golden rule of the stock market. Soon as Wang Yu continues his monitoring, Shen Qian, who is on the side, can't help but sit over as well, staring at the computer screen to look at the trend lines. Check out the Guangxi Lianggang group. Stop looking at Hong Kong stocks. Look at the stocks of the 9 provinces to see if there is any massive capital being drawn out. During this entire process, Shen Qian has been watching from the side. To be honest, Shen Qian doesn't understand the stock market very well. But what's strange is that from Shen Xun's mouth, dozens of corporate names have already been read out. The enterprises represented by these names cannot be distinguished by the naked eye at all as to whether they are blue chips or junk stocks. Shen Xun, yet he can catch the strange capital flows every single time and record them flawlessly. The opponent's layout is excellent. Shen Xun says with excitement, you take the money and distribute it to those 7 companies. Spread it evenly, Sister Qian. You are responsible for managing the accounts of these companies. According to the blue chip stocks we listed, buy into them one by one. Wang Yu gasps, doing it this way. Won't we get discovered? Discovered, my ass. Shen Xun smacks the back of his head and directly rolls his eyes. Others are throwing in billions while we only have a little over 10 million. Do you think everyone is a calculator? How could they notice this? But right now, Wang Yu asks a fatal question. That 45 million from your boss? Where exactly did you invest it? All of a sudden, Shen Xun's face reveals boundless conspiracy and eeriness. He says coldly, you will find out when something happens to him. After Wang Yu leaves, Shen Qian is a bit flustered, making calls and keeping accounts, looking somewhat at a loss. Sister Qian, can you handle it? Shen Xun steps forward and asks, sitting by the bed. Shen Qian has exposed her 2 beautiful legs for convenience. The distance between the 2 is less than 10 centimeters, and bursts of sweet fragrance waft into Shen Xun's nose. Shen Xun is stunned, staring at her. You wouldn't know without looking. But looking closely really gives him a pleasant shock. How did he never notice it before? She is truly so beautiful. Yeah, it's fine. I'm done with it. Shen Qian hands over a sheet of A4 paper. What? Now it's Shen Xun's turn to be shocked. In Shen Xun's planning, to maximize profits, he needs to invest in 20 different stocks, adjusting them according to real-time changes, which is the so-called revenue optimization model. It should be extremely difficult to balance these accounts perfectly. How to invest a certain amount, and whether investing more in one or less in another is more profitable. Whoever invests faces risks, and whoever invests less gets no returns. These calculation methods for financial concepts are not secret, so to speak, but they require extremely sharp judgment, experience, as well as the computing power that Shen Xun frequently talked about in his past life. Computing power is the calculation ability of the human brain. A genius with excellent computing power can simulate changes in the entire stock market within a short period. And right now, Shen Xun looks at the sheet of paper Shen Qian handed to him. He examines it carefully, then suddenly remembers something. Did your dad forbid you from interacting with other people? Shen Qian nods her head. I remember your dad lost a lot of money doing business, right? Yeah. Shen Qian looks straight into Shen Xun's eyes. Your family's money was all earned back through your financial management, wasn't it? Hearing this, Shen Qian hesitates for a moment. Then she nods her head, showing a shy expression. Shen Xun is utterly overjoyed internally. He never expected that a genius would be right by his side. What does this kind of ability of Shen Qian's mean? Top-tier computing power, which can rival the predictive ability and insight of a supercomputer. Once these abilities are applied to the stock market, it will bring about an extremely terrifying performance. Making several hundred or even several hundred billion for Shen Xun wouldn't be a difficult task. All right, I see. Shen Xun holds back his inner excitement and says calmly, "You continue to monitor Soros's capital flow. I will contact Director Yang of Yuan House Securities Group and have him close the net." At this moment, Shen Qian cannot read any ripple of emotion from Shen Xun's face, so naturally she doesn't know just how astonishing her talent really is. And in the next moment, when Shen Xun uses Wang Your brick phone to dial Yang Dong's number, Yang Dong picks up with an instantly complicated mood, saying sternly, "Is this Shen Xun? Is that you? Hello? Speak up. Are you Shen Xun? There should still be money left in your account, right?" Shen Xun says without any hesitation, leaving Yang Dong speechless for a moment. Recalling that just 40 hours ago, Shen Xun was merely a low-level employee, serving as his white glove. Yet now his own fate is tied to him, and he has even become an economics genius, revered by Zhang Kang. "What do you want to do?" Yang Dong stammers, "Are you trying to get your hands on my money again? In the next half hour, a sum of money will be invested into Qin's mining group. I want you to dump all of your remaining funds into it." Doing this, Shen Xun reveals an eerie smile, can prevent those people from making over $1 billion. What Yang Dong is completely dumbfounded by what he hears. Those people who are those people. Leaving behind only that single line, Shen Xun hangs up the phone, leaving Yang Dong utterly bewildered in the wind. Professor Zhang Kang, who is nearby, notices this, and upon inquiring with Yang Dong, his face turns pale. "That's right, those people." Zhang Kang stands up in sheer shock. "So that's how it is. I didn't even notice it myself." It turns out there's another massive pool of capital inside our stock market. Looking at Yang Dong, who is completely clueless beside him, a deep sense of admiration surges within Zhang Kang. He pulls Yang Dong over to the digital computer monitor and says, "Mr. Yang, you still don't get it? The crash and recovery of the Hong Kong stocks this time are entirely related to a specific pool of foreign capital. It is this foreign capital that is squeezing our Hong Kong stocks, and it is also this foreign capital that is destroying them." What Yang Dong looks closely, and finally, under Zhang Kang's guidance, he manages to see a clue, and this throws him into an even deeper state of shock. If Zhang Kang's theory holds true, then it means every single move Shen Xun makes is not just for his parents or himself, but actually for the sake of the Hong Kong stock market. He is protecting the Hong Kong stock market, doing his absolute best to claw back a bit of the costs from the hands of the enemy, keeping this money in the hands of our own citizens. Truly, every generation produces its own talents. Zhang Kang's face turns completely red with excitement, and his hands wave about in absolute thrill. To have such a brilliant youth is truly the great blessing of our Hong Kong city. "Mr. Yang, may I ask which district this young man named Shen Xun is from? I will immediately find someone to..." "No, right now. I'll call and arrange it right now. To have him enter Hong Kong City's economic department to hold a high-ranking position." Yang Dong was still in a state of utter shock. He froze for a moment, then realized he is not from Hong Kong City. He came from the mainland. It seems he's from Beihai. Meanwhile, inside the hotel room, along with Shen Xun's continuous operations, Shen Qian successfully managed to take the over 10 million in funds and completely undetected, scatter them into various blue-chip stocks. At the same time, a private corporate account also injected 200 million in funds into the blue-chip stock named Qin's Mining Group. Xiaoxun Wang Yo leaned close to the screen and asked in confusion, "Why did you tell your boss to inject all the money into this specific group? Do you know? They're senior executives." Shen Xun shook his head. "Then why did you..." Wang Yu gasped in surprise. "You should know that Shen Xun's action would make this Qin's Mining Group become one of the ultimate winners. And yet this winner wasn't even an ally of Shen Xun's. It was practically a massive free windfall falling from the sky." However, looking into Shen Xun's eyes, one could see a profound, quiet thoughtfulness blossoming. He muttered to himself, using this event to establish a solid blue-chip foundation for the mainland is far more beneficial to the stability of Hong Kong stocks. What? Wang Yu couldn't understand these terms. Shen Tian, who was on the side, was also somewhat puzzled. The mainland stock market and Hong Kong stocks were completely worlds apart. To put it bluntly, even if the mainland stock market had way more capital, it would be impossible to reach the scale of Hong Kong stocks and become the financial center of the entire Asia. Why did Shen Xun care so much about the mainland? But before long, Wang Yu pointed at the digital computer screen and shouted in surprise, "It's moving. The stock prices are starting to rise." On the digital computer screen, the prices of the dozen or so stocks containing Shen Xun's funds began to climb up slowly, rising from the initial $1 or $2 up to $3 or $5. It only took 10 minutes. This also means that Soros has begun to buy at the bottom, and this financial storm has officially commenced. Let it rise. Shen Xun's facial expression didn't change a bit. Wang Yu, who had always been relatively indifferent to the stock market, suddenly began to operate the computer intensely. telling Shen Qian to record the capital changes before and after. Sister Qian, how much money have we made by now? Only double, Shen Qian. Calculated. Up until now, we haven't officially entered the game yet. Only one stock is rising. Double. Wang Yor jaw dropped in shock. All this time, he had been a rich second-generation kid who wasn't very sensitive to money. But even if he wasn't sensitive, he should still know how exaggerated the concept of doubling is. In other words, from entering the hotel until now, it has been less than 24 hours, and the assets Shen Xun invested have already doubled. Moreover, this doubling process only took 10 minutes. Oh my god. Wang Yor's face turned pale, and his whole body trembled. He only felt as if he were witnessing a miracle, and this miracle was something he even helped create. This is nothing. I'll show you a real massive one in a bit. Shen Xun stepped forward and patted his shoulder. Right after that, he asked Shen Qian to dump the shares of 2 blue-chip stocks. The stock price, which was originally around $1, dropped instantly to $0.8 because the shares were dumped at a low price. Isn't this devaluing them? Wang Yu gasped in surprise, but Shen Xun just smirked. Sure enough, far away in a corner on the other side of the world, inside a room filled with greedy individuals, a young operator controlling a computer said in surprise, "Mr. Soros, one of our blue-chip stocks has dropped to $0.8. Someone is short-selling the shares." Behind the operator, a middle-aged man walked over disdainfully. "It's just a fool, that's all." He took a glance at it and paid no further attention to it afterwards. That fool probably saw that there was no way out and could only stop the loss right. Continue injecting capital to raise the stock price back up. 5 minutes later, to continue advancing funds to pump the stock price back up is 5 minutes later. A miraculous thing happened. Right under Wang Yor's nose, the stock price that was originally $0.8 climbed back up to $1 or $2. Looking at that trend, there was even room for further growth. What on earth is going on here? Shen Xun's expression looked extremely eerie. He patted Shen Qian's shoulder. "Sister Qian, do you know what's going on?" Shen Qian remained silent for a moment, shaking her head as she looked at the stock market completely baffled. A sharp light flashed through Shen Xun's eyes. The stock market in the end is just a psychological game between people. Because that old bastard Soros wants to use this bottom fishing to make a fortune. He will definitely absorb as many shares of these blue chip stocks that he has high hopes for as possible. Shen Xun explained to them how this worked. When I dumped the shares just now, he realized that retail investors like us still hold a portion of the stock. So he deliberately pumped the price up to lure us into continuing to cut our losses. Then what do we do now? Hearing this, Wang Yu panicked. If this goes on, wouldn't they lose even more? We've already lost a small portion. So continue to dump, Shen Xun sneered. This time, dump the price down to $1. A few minutes later, inside Soros' room, the young operator noticed an anomaly once again. This time, he didn't even need to report it to Soros, because Soros was staring right at it. Dumping again, they saw the price go up and wanted to squeeze out a bit more profit, didn't they? Soros let out a mocking laugh. People of the 9 provinces really are the most penny-wise greedy nation. They only ever focus their eyes on small gains like tiny fish and shrimps. Keep pumping it up, pump it to 1.6 and let them dump. Yes, Soros raising the price meant he had to inject a much higher capital cost. Meanwhile, in front of Shen Xun, Shen Qian, and Wang Yu, when the stock price surged up to $1.6 again, Wang Yu couldn't help but feel ecstatic looking at this number. Holy crap, we hit the jackpot! Wang Yu instantly lost his mind with joy. Xiaoxun, if we sell all our shares right now, won't we make a net profit of over 10 million? Wang Yu was going crazy. Through this single round of buying and selling, they had actually generated tens of millions in profit. And they didn't even have to do anything physical, just staring at the computer and entering a few commands. They could just pocket this sum of cash. This is the 1990s after all. What does 10 million mean? For Wang Yu's family who are wealthy, a top-tier Mercedes is only a million in ounce, with it took, only about us. If this 10 million were on the mainland, with houses costing 50,000 each, how many could it buy? However, as the mastermind behind all this, Shen Xun lets out a mysterious smile and asks Shen Qian, "Sister Qian, do you know how we should operate at this moment to maximize our profits?" Shen Qian feels a bit of pressure. She runs some calculations in her notebook and mutters, "Could it be? When the stock price rises to 1.6, those retail investors outside will get the news and start cutting their losses. We then take the opportunity to buy these stocks back, right?" Shen Qian's answer couldn't be more perfect. But this isn't the only answer, is it? Shen Xun's eyes look like a hungry wolf's, staring fiercely at the computer screen. "Listen to my command. We will take the remaining few stocks and operate them according to this exact model, pumping all of their stock prices up." Hearing this, Shen Qian doesn't quite understand what Shen Xun wants to do, while Wang Yu feels extremely heartbroken. This is a double return of profit we are talking about. If Shen Xun keeps operating back and forth like this, isn't he throwing away all that double profit just to pump up the stock prices. Is there any point to this? At this moment, inside Soros's office, Soros covers his mouth laughing uncontrollably. Those fools from the 9 provinces, they receive the news at the same time and are preparing to cut their losses together. Let them cut their losses. We will absorb as many shares as they dump. And since we are putting on a show, let's put on a complete one. We will directly pump the stock price up to $2 so they won't hesitate anymore and will sell everything, Soros says with towering arrogance. As a financial expert, he knows very well what kind of retail investor sentiment is reflected behind every single financial indicator. The stop-loss action just now was obviously from those retail investors holding onto their stocks, testing the waters. And now he wants to open up the price immediately, making them no longer hesitate and completely wipe out the stocks in their hands. Sure enough, 20 minutes later, the young operator kept injecting capital, finally taking in about 50 million worth of stocks. 50 million? Meanwhile, inside the hotel room next to Shenxun, Wang You covered his eyes, unable to believe what he was seeing. He quickly grabbed Shenxun. Xiaoxun, that's enough. It has tripled. Let's pull out. Tripling their earnings, making a triple profit in less than an hour. Shenxun knew very well that as long as he sold the final remaining stocks, he could make a net profit of 50 million from this market operation. Then he could take this money to pay off the debts. As long as he could keep 20 million and use it all to buy real estate on the mainland, he could become a billionaire in less than 20 years. Furthermore, he wouldn't have to bear any risks and could even collect a lot of rental money every year. But under Wang, your expectant gaze. Shenxun's expression didn't budge at all. He ordered coldly, Sister Qian, dump all of this money into Qin's mining group and pump their stock price up to around 3.5. What, Xiaoxun, are you crazy? Wang Yu gasped. They made so much money. Yet in the end, it was just to pump up the stock price for Qin's mining group. Wang Yu was starting to doubt whether he was an undercover agent sent from the mainland side. And at this very moment, just as Shen Qian bought in with all their assets into Qin's mining group, Yang Dong's side was also operating. A total of 250 million in capital on the market bizarrely flowed into Qin's mining group, instantly causing Qin's mining group's Manhwa stock price to jump from $0.6 up to $4.8. Soros slammed the table with a grim face. Playing games with me. At this time, 4 streams of capital poured into Qin's mining group. 1 stream belonged to Shenxun, which, counting the capital invested earlier, totaled 65 million. 1 stream belonged to Yang Dong, which was all of his private stash, totaling 200 million. Then there was Qin's mining group's own 500 million in seed capital used by its management to harvest retail investors. And finally, the 200 million that Soros had planted in advance to buy the bottom. A grand total of 965 million in funds, nearly 1 billion, at a time when the stock market was flagging. This made Qin's mining group the only blue chip stock to experience a wild rally, surging by nearly 10 times its original stock price. Mr. Soros, the stock price of the Qin group is still rising. It's already at $5.8. It's already at $6.1, sir. The stock price of the Qin group has surged tenfold. If we don't liquidate, we are going to suffer massive losses. Mr. Soros. Damn it. Thud thud. Soros slams the desk violently. Originally, Soros wanted to use a chain ship strategy, meaning he would spread billions of dollars in funds across different blue chip stocks to reap tens of billions in profits from Hong Kong stocks. This meant he had invested a significant amount of money into every single blue chip stock. But for instance, in Qin's mining group, out of nearly 1 billion in total funds, he had only provided 200 million. Even though the stock price had shot up 10 times, the lion's share of the profit was in someone else's hands, having very little to do with him. Moreover, this would trigger a massive chain reaction. Mr. Soros, the prices of other stocks are starting to rise as well. They are starting to spiral out of control. Mr. Soros, another stock has risen to $3. The Hang Seng Index has already crossed 3,500. Panic sets in as keyboard clicking sounds echo continuously across the office. At this very moment, he finally realizes with absolute clarity that he has been played, and he has been played incredibly hard. Qin's mining group, mutters this name, his face turning the color of pig liver. It is hard for him to imagine that in this world, there actually exists someone who understands the stock market just as well as he does, and who is even a step faster than him. This guy disguised himself as a retail investor, saw right through my strategy, and baited me into stepping into his trap. Instantly, he feels completely dizzy and lightheaded. He drops heavily back into his seat. Liquidate, pull everything out right now. To think he actually flipped his car on this matter. As someone who considers himself extremely clever, having emptied out British finance in the 1970s and continuously harvesting the 4 Asian tigers in the 1980s, generating tens of billions in profits, he had never lost to anyone before. Much less imagine that he would actually be played like a fool right in the palm of someone's hand. And this kid, even though he is merely a market operator for a single corporate group, the fact that he can understand these mechanisms means he is capable of harvesting the stock market of a certain nation just like me. But why? He found it completely incomprehensible. Under the urging of the operator, he didn't wait any longer. Sell everything. Oh right, make a phone call for me on the side and ask the 9 provinces who the market operator for Qin's mining group is. Inside the hotel, amidst the continuous rise of the stock market, for Shen Xun, who uniquely held the shares of Qin's mining group, the 3 people all showed different facial expressions. Wang Yu was somewhat dejected. After all, he felt that, just now, Shen Xun had thrown away a prime opportunity to earn nearly 50 million. That was ready cash, with practically zero risk. Shen Xun was completely unfazed. While gently rubbing Shen Qian's head, he warmly explained to her what the fundamental principles of the stock market were. Shen Qian, on the other hand, felt very frustrated. She couldn't wrap her head around how this cousin of hers suddenly seemed like he had aged 10 years overnight, treating her like a child at every turn. Furthermore, the theories coming out of Shen Xun's mouth completely shattered the worldviews of anyone listening. This practically overturned the traditional economics that Shen Qian had been exposed to. Not long after, along with Shen Xun turning on the television, on Hong Kong City's financial channel, a handsome host appeared in front of the TV screen dripping with sweat, shouting with excitement, "Dear citizens, after an hour and a half of intense stock market volatility, the Hang Seng Index of Hong Kong stocks has officially broken through 4,000 points. At the same time, the official authorities have stepped in to save the market." At almost the exact same moment, Father Shen and Father Wang were waiting in Changping Village, listening to the brief news updates on the radio. The official authorities of the 9 provinces have announced a market rescue. Countless citizens are gathering in front of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange Hall. The Hang Seng Index has broken through 4,500. Citizens are cheering and the Hong Kong city officials have dispatched the fire department. Qin's mining group has been injected with 2 billion in funds from the official authorities of the 9 provinces. A single share is now hard to come by. The Hang Seng Index continues to rise and is about to break through the 6,000 mark. And at this very moment, Wang Yu, whose mind was completely blown, stood anxiously in front of the TV, just like those citizens. He could hear the gasps and cheers of the citizens echoing from both upstairs and downstairs, along with their synchronized voices of anticipation. They were silently chanting that number 7,000. Whoa, Wang Yu was completely sucked into it now. As someone with only a superficial understanding of the stock market, although Wang Yu had never personally participated in stock market investments, his family's group was also a part of the stock market. At the same time, he profoundly felt the immense profit the stock market brings to an individual. With every single shout, with every single rise, even for every 100-point increase, in the Hang Seng Index there would be countless funds flowing right into his pocket. Our reporter announces that the Hang Seng Index has officially broken through the 7,000 mark. Swish along with the host's announcement made with bloodshot eyes, Wang Yu violently pounced towards Shen Xun, so excited that he almost fainted on the spot. Shen Xun pushed Wang Yu away. Looking at Wang, your hysterical state, where he looked as if he were about to pass out, he calmly gave an order to the composed Shen Qian. Keep tracking where the funds go. I want to know with absolute clarity exactly how much money he raked in from the Hong Kong stock market, and which corporate groups he dragged it out from. Got it, Shen Qian nodded. Xiao Xun, Shen Xun. Behind him, Wang Yu grabbed Shen Xun's hand, shouting at the top of his lungs in absolute ecstasy, 7,000 points. Xiao Xun, do you have any idea how much money we've made? Hundreds of millions. No, not just 100 million. It's many hundreds of millions. Meanwhile, inside the chairman's office of Yuanhao Securities, billions, according to Shen Xun's estimations. Although at the very last moment, Shen Xun transferred a massive amount of funds into Qin's mining group, which had a larger pool of total capital. He already knew beforehand that the official authorities of the 9 provinces would choose a mainland enterprise to inject capital into and would deploy this money into Qin's mining group. Meanwhile, the other blue chips were all set as traps. He simply didn't have that much capital to begin with, to store up and settle the final score against the enemy. Therefore, from the very beginning, he never expected to make them lose a massive fortune. It was just that for this specific sum of money inside Qin's mining group, they certainly wouldn't be able to make much profit from it. And yet, this particular sum happened to be the one with the highest potential profit. How much is Qin's mining group per share right now? Shen Xun asked, staying alert. Shen Xun quickly checked the screen. $120. We can close our positions now. Shen Xun's current facial expression didn't look like before. Instead, he appeared somewhat pale. On the side, Wang Yu was confused as to why Shen Xun kept ignoring him. So he quickly asked, Sister Qian, how much money did we make this time? Shen Xun finally paid attention to him and answered, around 4 billion. 4 billion, Wang, your eyes widened to the extreme, and lightning flashed across his mind, as if he had completely gone mad. My dad wouldn't even be able to make 4 billion in 10 lifetimes. Xiaosun, we are filthy rich. 4 billion. I won't even be able to spend all of it in this lifetime. That's enough. Along with a low, deep roar, Shen Xun violently unscrewed a bottle of mineral water and splashed it all over Wang Yu's face. Xiaoxun, what's wrong with you? Wang Yu, with water splashed all over his face, choked out a response while calming down and asked, At this time, Shen Shun pulled out a notebook, calculating something on it. Sister Qian, how much did he make this time? He has already completely liquidated everything. Shen Qian said helplessly, a grand total of 23 billion. His Wang Yu gasped heavily in pure shock. That guy is way too terrifying, isn't he? He actually raked 23 billion back with him. Then just how much principal capital did he have to begin with? Yande. Fortunately, Shen Shun breathed a sigh of relief, yet his brows remained tightly knitted. Over 20 billion is nothing to them. But Hong Kong City's manufacturing industry is bound to be completely destroyed. Saying that Shen Shun checked out the current situation of the top 10 manufacturing groups in Hong Kong City. The result he got, however, was that all of them had gone bankrupt. Wang Yo sharply gasped in pure shock. Shen Xiaoxun, how is my dad's real estate group doing? Did it go bankrupt too? As soon as Wang Yu finished speaking, Shen Shun, with a grim face, controlled the digital computer, nodded and said, it went bankrupt too. However, I will distribute your family's money back to you, which will be more than enough for you to open another one, or even 10 more. Holy crap. At this moment, Wang Yu finally started to fully process it. Not only was it the Wang family's enterprise, but the real estate company of Shen Qian's father had also gone bankrupt in an instant. And for those of them who were in the real estate business, they could actually be considered somewhat lucky. After all, it was at the terminal end of the industry chain, so the domino effect it triggered wasn't that massive. Those groups involved in timber construction, processing, and upstream production were the ones who were truly doomed. My second uncle's shipyard went bankrupt too, and also my maternal aunt's husband's clothing group. Xiaoxun, why did even a clothing retailer suffer? Didn't you say it was only related to real estate? As Wang Yu operated the computer to check further, the more he looked, the paler his face became. Wang Yo frantically searched through every piece of information in his memory regarding the corporate groups connected to his relatives and friends. He arrived at a shocking conclusion. This can't be right. Wang Yo spread his hands out, utterly confused. My ex-girlfriend's family also went bankrupt. Their company wasn't even listed on the stock market yet. This makes absolutely no sense. Why doesn't it make sense? Shen Shun calmly walked forward and turned off the digital computer. Under Wang Yo's gaze, his body exuded the subtle aura of a high-ranking authority figure, which could undeniably be called the professional presence of a true leader, as if he knew the Hong Kong stock market like the back of his hand. I've told you before that apart from blue chips, everything in the Hong Kong stock market is junk. And this junk doesn't just manifest itself in the form of being publicly listed. It also... Do you still remember the shell companies I asked you to arrange? As soon as Shen Shun said this, Wang Yo's eyes suddenly lit up, and everything instantly clicked. Yes, in this era where everyone wants to use speculation to earn excess profits, there are countless ways to take unlisted companies and package them into listed junk. He only reaped a profit of over 20 billion, but behind this 20 plus billion is potentially a loss of hundreds of billions in wealth. They come from every corner of society and are closely intertwined with everyone. Shen Shun's tone is somewhat heavy, and he says very solemnly, after this, Hong Kong's economy will take a massive hit. For a group like yours that can bring things back to life, you can still form a brief monopoly for the time being. But this also means you must shoulder more responsibilities to help the people within the industry make a comeback. Far away in a dark corner, unlike Wang Yu, who is caught in a daze, Soros, currently surrounded by a crowd of operators, stares at the digital computer screen with bloodshot eyes. Fantastic. This time we made 20 billion. In just a single day, we made billions of US dollars, and with practically zero risk. The operators are popping champagne, whistling, and are practically more excited than if Christmas had arrived. However, listening to these noisy sounds, he violently slams the table and roars in a hysterical tone, only 20 billion, I lost. Nearly 100 million. Damn those people from the 9 provinces. Swish, yes, the atmosphere in the office instantly turns dead cold. The operators exchange bewildered glances, having absolutely no idea why he is this furious. Soros just quickly demands, have you found out yet who the market operator behind Chin's mining group is? An operator trembling with fear hands over a document. Behind that group, it is an operator named Wang Wu. He graduated from the Cambridge School of Economics, but has only ever operated market positions on a 10 million scale. Soros quickly flips open the document, staring fiercely at the profile photo on it, and grinds his teeth. Good, very good, a mere fool of the 9 provinces. He feels completely humiliated, because there is no way he can believe that someone from an operator with only a 10 million scale experience could actually counter-harvest him. An ordinary student from the 9 provinces who graduated from the Cambridge School of Economics could actually make him lose so miserably. How many PhDs and academicians have come to him like a pilgrimage to seek guidance on the true essence of the financial market? The previous clash in the Hong Kong stock market also fully proved that his opponent possessed one of the absolute best brains in this world. And yet it turns out he was just an operator who managed 10 million scale projects and had never even controlled funds exceeding 100 million, just a mere student. Contact the Federal Financial Department immediately. Poach this man for me. Carrying his resentment, he snaps in sudden fury. I want to see for myself exactly what kind of method he used to break my layout in the Hong Kong stock market. But that man named Wang Wu has no idea that a financial legend named Soros has already extended his claws toward him, causing him to suffer a hopeless disaster that he won't be able to forget even in his next life. A peaceful night, yet a restless Chengping village. Old Shen, what else do you want to drink? I'll have my assistant bring it over right now. Tonight we won't stop until we're drunk. At the dilapidated entrance of the village, Father Shen and Father Wang are hosting a banquet, inviting hundreds of villagers to gather. While holding up their wine glasses and shouting that they won't stop until they are drunk, they are also weeping bitterly like madmen. Watching this scene unfold, the villagers all think these two have some mental issues. But who could know that in these past 12 hours, the two of them have gone through massive ups and downs. Needless to say for Father Shen, he was about to jump off a building, but was talked down from the rooftop by his son only to witness his own economic theory sweep away the junk stocks in the Hong Kong market, making the Shen family billionaires. Father Wang went bankrupt at first, but he knows his son lent Shen Xun over 10 million, so the share of money they can get this time will absolutely not be less than 1 billion yuan. They soared straight to the sky. Old Shen, I always said your son would achieve great things. Unlike my son, who is practically a total loser. Father Wang, who is already dead drunk, doesn't seem worried at all that Shen Xun would take this money and run away with it. Because even in his past life after Father Shen passed away, Father Wang didn't hesitate for a moment to take over and care for Shen Xun. He always believed that Shen Xun was no ordinary young man and would definitely achieve greatness. Don't say that. My son also benefited from the help of your Wang family, Father Shen said guiltily. No matter what, he had still placed Shen Xun in extreme danger. If his theory had been wrong this time, then the consequences would be too horrific to imagine, let alone dying. Just Yang Dong alone could have made their Shen family regret even being alive in this world, and being turned into human shields wouldn't even be out of the question. At this very moment, he still felt a bit shaken, and just then, Mother Shen came running over from afar. She was holding Father Wang's brick phone and excitedly yet anxiously handed it over to Father Wang. Old Wang, your son is on the line. Can you ask him for me if Xiaoxun is safe right now? That little brat. Hearing this, Father Wang's eyes lit up, and he immediately snatched the phone. However, just as he was preparing to give Wang Yu a good scolding over the whole sleeping pill incident, Wang Yu's voice calling for help came through the phone instead. Dad, this is bad. Xiaoxun has been taken away by Yang Dong. What? Father Wang snapped to his feet, completely unable to believe it. Did that beast Yang Dong steal all the money you made? No. Wang Yu on the phone sounded like he had just run a marathon, panting heavily. We made 4 billion. Dad, Xiaoxun gave me a bank card with 1.5 billion inside, saying it's a reward for our family. He also said he wants you to take 1 billion to invest in real estate on the mainland. Stop talking about that, Dad. Hurry up and find someone to save Xiaoxun. I'm afraid that beast Yang Dong might actually kill Xiaoxun. Saying that, Wang Yu hung up the phone. Father Wang quickly cursed, you stinky brat. When he snapped back to his senses, he saw Father Shen and Mother Shen's faces were deathly pale. The two of them hadn't meant to eavesdrop, but in this era, the soundproofing of a brick phone wasn't that good to begin with. They had likely overheard most of Wang Yu's words. Seeing Mother Shen getting overly emotional, trembling as she begged Father Wang to definitely help them out, she clutched her chest with a thud and collapsed onto the ground. At the exact same time, Father Wang's brick phone rang once again. My wife. Father Shen anxiously held his wife. Father Wang also began to curse furiously. Who the hell is it now? Just as he picked up the phone, he heard a cold, indifferent voice coming from the other end. Hello, Mr. Wang. I am Long Chi, the team leader of the 9 Provinces Financial Monitoring Center. May I ask if you can get in touch with Shen Xun, the Financial Monitoring Center? Father Wang's face instantly turned pale. As a successful entrepreneur, it was impossible for Father Wang not to know the background of this organization. After all, it is now 1998, not 1997. The so-called Financial Monitoring Center from before was actually an entity that regulated Hong Kong stocks. Everyone knew that after 97, the Hong Kong stock market was regulated by the 9 provinces. And to prevent chaos in the Hong Kong stock market, the 9 provinces basically only controlled black money within it and the dirty assets of criminals, rarely making large-scale macro adjustments. At this moment, a national-level department suddenly reached out to him. To say that Father Wang wasn't nervous would be impossible. Trembling slightly, he swallowed his saliva, composed himself, and spoke slowly. Hello, Team Leader Long. I actually just received a phone call from my son, Xiaoxun. He has been taken away by Mr. Yang of the Yuanhao Securities Group. May I ask if your side could help locate him? Beep beep. Before Father Wang could even finish speaking, the other party hung up the phone, leaving behind only a festive banquet hall, while the faces of Father Wang and Father Shen were enveloped in a deathly silence. He hurriedly called his assistant to take Mother Shen to the hospital, Hong Kong City, Kowloon walled city. In the pitch darkness, Shun was blindfolded, hearing the continuous sounds of car horns all around him. After the honking sounds faded, the vehicle drove into a relatively quiet place. His hand was tightly holding a smaller hand. Shun knew that it belonged to his cousin Shun Qian. At this time, Shun Qian was also quite nervous, and she whispered softly, "Cousin." Immediately, a bodyguard beside her shouted sharply, "Shut up! Watch out, or I'll freaking kill you." Shun inhaled a breath of cold air. Just a few hours ago, right after he had distributed the money to Wang Yu, a group of people burst into the hotel and abducted him. Originally, Shun Qian could have escaped, but unexpectedly, to save him, this young girl actually blurted out that she was Shun's cousin. Just like that, the two of them were taken away together. Not long ago, the vehicle started moving. By observing the sounds, Shun deduced that they must have come from the Liwan district where the hotel was located, to Kowloon, a wealthy district with low foot traffic. Then it was completely obvious that the person who kidnapped him was Yang Dong. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, the vehicle stopped in front of a luxurious villa. The bodyguards inside the car dragged Shun and Shun Qian out, herding them into a villa. When a bodyguard removed Shun's blindfold, he found himself standing inside a magnificent living room. Sitting on the sofa was Yang Dong, whose face looked bitter, and who was continuously rubbing his hands together. There was also a wealthy businessman dressed in an expensive suit. The moment he saw this person, Shun's heart skipped a beat. In his past life, he often saw this guy on television. He owned the largest villa community in Hong Kong City and was a real estate pioneer in Hong Kong City, named Huang Haitao. The other few individuals were his younger brothers, Director Huang, the richest man from Liwan District, and Director Hu, who handled overseas trade from Wan Chai Pier. Why be so violent? Professor Zhang Tong was also sitting next to Yang Dong, gazing at Shun with eyes full of admiration. Yang Dong stepped forward. "Shun, come and sit down. Don't be afraid, we will absolutely not hurt you." Shun glanced at Shun Qian. He noticed that after recognizing these three people, Shun Qian's face had lost its color from fear. Both she and Shun were smart people. From the moment they saw these three individuals, they understood that the 200 million in Yang Dong's account must be related to these three bosses. To put it bluntly, these three bosses were all partners of Yang Dong. At this moment, they kidnapped Shun solely for the purpose of splitting the money. The young man looks very handsome. As expected, a person's appearance reflects their mind. Young and promising indeed. As Shun held Shun Qian's hand, Huang Haitao, who looked old and frail, immediately stepped forward to try and get close to Shun. He even extended his hand and asked, "May I ask who this lady is?" "She is my cousin." Shun immediately spoke up. "She was just helping me arrange accommodations." "I see." Huang Haitao smiled politely. Under the watchful eyes of the group, Yang Dong, somewhat unable to contain himself, walked toward Shun. Squeezing in next to Shun, he patted his shoulder. "Xiaoxun, you're really something. I knew the Wang family wouldn't recommend a useless person to me. You, just like your dad, are an excellent trader. So how much did you rake in from this round?" Looking at Yang Dong's overly attentive expression, Shun perceived at a single glance that this guy was testing him. Since Huang Haitao could track him down, how could he possibly not know how much money he made? They had probably locked onto his location the exact moment the 4 billion flowed out from his account. 4 billion, but 1.5 billion of that was returned to a friend. Shun answered honestly. Hearing this, Director Huang from Liwan District cursed. All the benefits were snatched by the Wang family. "I say, kid, you're really not loyal enough. If we had known there was such a profitable business, you should have come to us earlier. It's not like we're short on cash. Getting you 10 or 20 million would have been a piece of cake." Shun let out a forced laugh. He knew that the people sitting in front of him were all beasts in human clothing. They complained about missing out on the surface, but in reality, they wished they didn't have to spend a single dime while making their pockets overflow. A large portion of the junk stocks in the Hong Kong market were created precisely to feed their speculative desires. For this round, where Soros raked 24 billion out of the Hong Kong market, they had to bear a huge part of the responsibility. I won't say any more unnecessary words. Yang Dong swallowed hard anxiously, saying, "Xiaoxun, you took over 10 million from my private account. We have our own rules. Forget about the Wang family's money. But if you give this money to us, we will arrange your future work life and even finding a wife for you. If you have any requests, you can bring them up. Everything is highly negotiable." As soon as Yang Dong finished speaking, Shun couldn't help but curse him in his heart. This bastard Yang Dong really has a massive appetite. Out of the 4 billion total, 1.5 billion went to Wang Yu, leaving 2,500 million. So these few guys are trying to pocket all of this remaining 2,500 million, aren't they? In front of Huang Haitao, Shen Qian also realized something was wrong and leaned a bit closer into Shun arms. Shun, however, just smiled faintly. While nodding, he pulled a bank card out of his pocket and said generously, "Mr. Yang, don't worry. I've already prepared everything. This 500 million is what you deserve. Without your capital, it would have been impossible for me to make this much money. The moment Shenshun said these words, Huang Haitao, Director Huang and Director Hu who were present all turned pale instantly. Yang Dong also showed an awkward expression. Obviously, he didn't care about how much Shenshun gave him. After all, he had invested 200 million of his own money into it and had already made his pockets overflow. The problem was, thud, Director Hu, who was always hot-tempered, slammed his palm onto the table, pointing right at Shenshun's nose. You stinky brat! Are you treating us like beggars? 500 million? Do you have any idea how much we lost? Because of the mess you caused. 500 million isn't even enough to get stuck between my teeth. Do you know how much our assets shrank because of this market operation of yours? Frightened by the roar, Shen Qian shrank closer to Shenshun, looking at her cousin next to her in panic, only to see him just giving her a gentle smile. As for what kind of people these individuals were, Shen Qian had already heard rumors about them long ago. Put it this way, even if Shen Qian's father is here, his peak, he wouldn't even have the right to sit at the same table. With these big bosses, the influence of these three individuals is enough to impact the economy of the entire 9 provinces. Can Shenshun really handle them? Amidst her worry, a warm and wide hand was placed on Shen Qian's delicate and slender hand. Shen Qian looked at the man beside her, thinking, is this really still my cousin from before? It's so soft. Shenshun secretly gave his cousin's small hand a squeeze. After enjoying the moment, he said solemnly, if it weren't for us, the 3 of you might be completely bankrupt by now. Technically speaking, you 3 might actually have to thank us. You stinky brat, what kind of nonsense are you talking? Director Hu slammed his hand on the table. The wine glass fell off the table, shattering into pieces on the floor with a crisp and piercing sound. In an instant, the atmosphere inside the room dropped to the freezing point. I have no reason to lie to you. Shenshun shrugged his shoulders. If you don't believe me, you can ask Professor Zhang Tang over here. You should at least believe his words. Dud. As soon as he finished speaking, the gazes inside the room turned in unison toward Professor Zhang Tang on the side. Boss Hu, don't be so anxious just yet. What this young brother said is absolutely correct. Professor Zhang Tang rubbed his hands together with excitement, his eyes seemingly filled with stars. If it weren't for this young brother stepping in, the entire 9 provinces would have suffered an even greater catastrophe. Young brother, if you don't look down on my old age, I am willing to take you as my master. The moment these words came out, everyone fell dead silent in utter shock. Who exactly was Professor Zhang Tang? He was a leading figure, a true titan in the financial world of the 9 provinces. He was an absolute authority figure in the eyes of countless people. Yet today, he actually wanted to take a wet behind-the-ears kid in his early 20s as his master? How could this not make everyone's jaws drop in disbelief? Huang Haitao cleared his throat twice, his face looking a bit stiff. Professor Zhang Tang, we invited young brother Shenshun here today to discuss serious business. As for the matter of taking him as your master, how about we discuss it later? Professor Zhang Tang also seemed to realize that he had lost his composure a bit. He adjusted his expression and sat back down in his seat, but his gaze remained fixed entirely on Shenshun, not hiding the burning passion in his eyes in the slightest. Actually, our invitation to you, young brother, this time, isn't to ask for money, Huang Haitao said with his eyes squinted. Although 2.5 billion is quite a lot, it isn't really that important to us. Mr. Huang, if you have something to say, just say it directly. Shenshun said, neither humble nor arrogant. This old fox was calling him a kid just a moment ago, and now he has switched to calling him young brother. Haha, you're a straightforward person, young brother. Then I won't beat around the bush either. Huang Haitao picked up the brick phone on the table and dialed his secretary's number. Bring the items over. Just a brief moment later, a voluptuous and glamorous secretary with long legs, black stockings, and red high heels entered the room, holding a stack of documents in her hands. The secretary leaned down and placed the documents in her hands on the table in front of Shenshun. As she bent over, Shenshun caught a quick glimpse, taking in a bit of the scenery. Black with lace borders. The secretary seemed to have noticed Shenshun's gaze, winking at him flirtatiously. Just as Shenshun was about to say thank you, a sharp pang of pain came from his right hand. He saw Shen Tian on the side pouting her lips, looking completely unhappy. Shenshun could only pick up the documents on the table to cover up his awkwardness. Young brother, did you see anything of interest? Huang Haitao squinted, his eyes half smiling, as he looked at Shenshun. They are all just some worthless internet companies, Shenshun said with a frown, having seemingly guessed something in his heart. Right now, they are indeed of no value. But it's hard to say what happens next. Huang Haitao took a sip of red wine. Mr. Huang, you want to pump up the stock prices of these companies, so you can sell them off for a good price, Shenshun said. Old Huang, old Hu, did you see that? Dealing with smart people is just so effortless. Huang Haitao burst into a hearty laugh. Exactly. These companies are under our control. Since the stock market is facing a massive shakeup after what you did, right now is the absolute best time to drive up their stock prices. Right now is the absolute best time to pump up the stock price. It's true that the stock market is currently volatile, leaving retail investors on edge and uneasy. If a few stocks with strong momentum emerge right now and go against the market trend, they will bound to become the absolute center of attention. At a time like this, no one can predict how far the stock prices of these companies will soar. Right now is the absolute best time for this group of people to speculate. It has to be said that these guys have an incredibly sharp nose for opportunity. So, are you willing to join us? Huang Haitao smiled warmly. As long as you are willing, I guarantee you a life of wealth and prosperity. I will also completely let go of that 2.5 billion matter. Shen Xun lowered his head slightly without giving an answer. If these guys actually pulled this off, what would that 2.5 billion even amount to? By then, I'm afraid, the entire economy of the 9 provinces would fall right into their hands. This guy's heart is truly pitch black. By pumping up the market value and dumping everything at the highest point, he would make his pockets overflow. But the stock market would be left in complete ruins afterward. However, if he didn't agree to their demands, he was afraid that he and Shen Qian would never get to see tomorrow's sun. Fine, I agree to operate the market for you, but I will need sufficient capital, and you must fulfill the conditions I propose. After weighing his options, Shen Kun made his decision. Fantastic, then it's a deal. Huang Haitao was absolutely thrilled. Come, young brother, let me toast you first. Following that, Huang Haitao drank the red wine in his glass in one gulp. At the same time, Director Huang, Director Hu, and Yang Dong also finished their red wine together. Shen Qian looked at Shen Xun with quite a bit of worry, but the latter just gave her a reassuring look. Shen Xun then emptied his glass as well. Huang Haitao clapped his hands. An exquisite dish after dish of delicious food was brought to the table. The room, which had been at each other's throats just a moment ago, was now filled with laughter and cheerful chatter. After the meal, Huang Haitao put his arm around Shen Xun's shoulder and said drunkenly, "Young brother Shen, just how much capital do you need? To pump the stock prices of these companies to $10, you'll need $1 billion. I heard your dad and his people are searching for you everywhere." His words were crystal clear. Only when his demands were met would he be allowed to leave. Shen Xun's face twitched slightly. This old guy actually dared to threaten him. Just wait and see. Give me 3 days, and I guarantee I'll fulfill your expectations. Shen Xun patted his chest, also putting on a completely drunken act. Good. A true hero shows his worth at a young age. Huang Haitao was absolutely thrilled and called over the butler. Butler Liu, take this young brother and that young lady to the prepared bedroom. No matter what request he makes, satisfy it. Yes, master. Butler Liu bowed his head and said to Shen Xun, "Do you need me to find someone to carry this young lady back?" Shen Tian was not a strong drinker. After having just 2 glasses of red wine, she had actually passed out right on the table. Forget it. I'll do it. Shen Xun wrapped his cousin's arms around his neck and hoisted her up in front of him. He didn't expect her to be this light. Following Butler Liu into the room, he glanced around casually. The room was huge. The decoration was extremely luxurious, and it had all the furniture one could need. There was even a laundry room inside, making it practically a luxury level suite. After Butler Liu withdrew, Shen Xun laid Shen Qian down on the wide and soft bed, because the red wine's after effects were too strong. Shen Tian's originally fair neck was flushed completely red, and her clothes were in a bit of disarray. Her shapely chest made it a bit hard for Shen Xun to look away. Shen Xun swallowed his saliva. He wasn't some kind of saint. To say he wouldn't be tempted with such a top-tier beauty passed out on the bed was absolutely impossible. However, taking advantage of someone in such a state was still something he couldn't bring himself to do, not to mention she was his cousin. Resisting his hormonal impulses, Shen Xun helped her take off her shoes and coat, covered her with the blanket, and checked the time. 10 o'clock. The moon outside the window was exceptionally round. He couldn't help but reflect on his own actions during this period of time since his rebirth. He wondered how his parents were doing, and if they were so worried that they couldn't sleep. Sighing, Shen Xun decided to go to bed early tonight, as he still had to deal with those 3 old foxes tomorrow. Taking a shower, Shen Xun suddenly remembered that he and Shen Qian didn't bring any spare clothes to change into. He could only wrap a bath towel around himself and walk out of the bathroom, preparing to call Butler Liu. The moment he stepped out, 2 gazes locked onto each other. In his utter shock and embarrassment, Shen Xun didn't even notice that the bath towel on his body had already slipped to the floor. Shen Tian hurriedly covered her eyes and screamed, yet a gap remained between her fingers, leaving a clear line of sight. Only then did Shen Xun snap back to his senses, quickly picking up the towel from the floor to cover his vital parts. You're awake? In Shen Xun's mind, 10,000 alpacas were stampeding. How could something this ridiculous happen? Yeah, I felt really thirsty, so I got up to look for some water to drink. Are you still dizzy? Shen Xun asked with some concern. After sleeping for a bit, I don't feel that dizzy anymore. Well, that's good. Mr. Shen, Miss Shen, may I ask if something happened inside? Shen Xun sneered in his heart. Those 3 old guys had actually gone as far as sending people to spy on him. It's nothing. Could you please help us find a set of suitable men's clothes and a set of women's clothes? They must be brand new, Shen Xun said to the other party through the door. Understood. Do you have any other instructions? None for now. Shen Xun gestured to Shen Qian with a shushing motion, signaling her that the walls have ears and not to make a sound. Right after that, Shen Xun went into the bathroom, turning the bathroom light on and off, repeating this a few times. Shen Xun furrowed his brows, filled a cup with water, and splashed it straight onto the bathroom light. After being doused with water like this, the light bulb overhead flickered a couple of times and stopped working. Shen Qian was just about to ask why, but she was stopped by him once again. Shen Xun crouched down and reached toward the underside of the sink to feel around. Just a brief moment later, a black square-shaped, miniature wiretap blinking with a red light appeared in his hand. Shen Qian stood on the side completely dumbfounded. Right after that, Shen Xun walked over to the back of the bedroom television, inside the desk lamp within the drawers, and under the chairs, pulling out a total of 4 wiretapping devices. These cruel, blood-sucking old bastards were indeed keeping their eyes on him every single second. Turning off these devices one by one, Shen Qian finally said with lingering fear, "Shen Xun, how did you know there were wiretaps hidden in these places?" Shen Qian now admired Shen Xun to the absolute extreme. From his grand boldness of throwing away millions to gamble for billions, to his fearless courage of being neither humble nor arrogant before the 3 big bosses. No matter which point it was, it fascinated her incredibly. And now, acting just like a detective, he had uncovered this whole pile of wiretapping equipment. This made Shen Qian even less able to see through this cousin of hers. "I learned it from TV. I didn't expect them to actually be here." Shen Xun made up a random excuse. He couldn't exactly tell her directly that because he had carved out a massive piece of the cake in the US stock market in his past life, he was targeted and bugged, and had been monitored around the clock, right? "Shen Xun, I feel like I'm less and less able to see through you." "Sister Qian, rest assured, I am still myself. It's just that some things happen and I had no choice but to change. I'm a bit worried about you." Shen Qian shook her head. "None of these people are good news. I'm afraid you'll end up destroyed at their hands." Shen Xun's heart skipped a beat, and he spaced out slightly. How long had it been? How long had it been since anyone genuinely cared about him? In his past life, although he climbed to the very apex of the pyramid, there was not a single person by his side who truly cared about him. The many people who treated him well did nothing more than target his money. Yet in this life, his parents are alive and well. He has his brothers, and his cousin cares about him so deeply. This made it a little difficult for him to handle. "I know, but don't worry. They don't dare to do anything to me just yet," Shen Xun said. "I just feel a bit sorry towards you. This was originally my own business. You ought to see it. I shouldn't have dragged you a girl into all of this. So what? You are my brother. If someone bullies you, how can I just stand by and watch? Do you still remember when you were chased by a dog as a child, and I picked up a rock and threw it to scare the dog away?" Shen Qian raised her small fist and said huffily, "It's the same now. Whoever bullies you, I'll hit them." Shen Xun burst out laughing, not expecting her to still remember something from so long ago. Feeling touched, Shen Xun reached out and gently stroked her beautiful hair. "A man's problems should be solved by the man himself. I will find a way to get you out of here safely. But clearly, I am your older sister." Shen Qian was a bit stubborn. "Be good. Listen to me." Shen Xun overbearingly patted her head. "Even so, you are still a woman. It is only natural for a man to protect a woman." For some reason, Shen Qian didn't talk back at all, nor did she show any sign of dissatisfaction. She just let his palm stroke her head, as well behaved as a kitten. An intimate atmosphere instantly filled the entire room. "Mr. Shen, the 2 sets of clothes you requested have been prepared. I have left them outside the door for you." Butler Liu's voice shattered the intimate moment between the two. Shen Qian shyly tucked away her hanging hair, hiding her slightly burning cheeks at this moment. Butler Liu had prepared 3 sets of clean new clothes for them, with the price tags not even removed yet. Shen Xun clicked his tongue. My goodness, these clothes were all premium, high-end luxury goods. Just a single coat alone cost well over 1,000. However, he wouldn't let this little bit of benefit make him abandon his plan to deal with the 3 tycoons. Shen Qian had no concept of clothing brands. After receiving them, she only checked if they fit well. "Then I'll go take a shower first." Ever since being abducted along with Shen Xun, Shen Qian hadn't taken a shower. For someone who loved cleanliness like her, this was practically unbearable. It was just that with a lone man and woman sharing a single room, and to make matters worse, this bathroom was right next to the bed, and it was even the semi-transparent kind. This really made one's imagination run wild. Shen Qian finished her shower and changed into the new clothes prepared by Butler Liu. It was a light green pleated maxi skirt. Shen Qian, who already had a pure look to begin with, appeared even more fresh and sweet after putting it on. For a moment, Shen Xun actually stared blankly. Why hadn't he noticed before that Shen Qian was this beautiful? Does the clothing look a bit unfit? Shen Qian felt a bit shy. Does it make me look a bit like a child? I think it suits you perfectly. It looks great, Shen Xun said from the bottom of his heart. At least you have good taste. Shen Qian let out a soft hump, but the smile on her face could not be hidden. Shen Qian sat down next to Shen Xun, her fingers twirling her half-dry hair. Do you think we really have a way to leave this place? Of course we do, Shen Xun said reassuringly. Even if I can't leave, I will find a way to let you get away. Hearing these words, Shen Tian got anxious. That won't do. If you can't leave, I'll stay behind to accompany you too. Seeming to think that her words sounded a bit too hasty, she quickly added, I'm your older sister. If I leave you behind and run away alone, how am I supposed to account for it to your parents? Shen Xun burst out laughing, a warm current flowing through his heart. I have a plan, but it's very dangerous. I might need your help, Sister Tian. Don't say things like helping or not helping. We are currently grasshoppers on the same boat. Your business is my business. Shen Xun fell silent for a moment before speaking solemnly. We must at least find a way to contact the outside world. How do we do that? I've paid attention. This villa should be an asset under the name of one of them. The area where we are staying doesn't have any cameras installed. So this proves one thing. It proves that this villa used to be occupied by someone. Shen Tian nodded and said, Shen Xun was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Shen Tian to be this smart, understanding it instantly with just a hint. Exactly, since someone used to live here. There's a high chance that a pager or a computer might have been left behind in the rooms. Are you trying to find these things and then call the police? Shen Tian covered her mouth and whispered, but we don't even know where this place is. And the inspectors could also be bribed, right? Shen Xun had already guessed what Shen Tian was thinking. Don't worry, I'm not that foolish. Then you're saying I'm foolish. Shen Tian pouted her lips. No, absolutely not. Shen Xun let out a dry laugh. Reporting to the police is out of the question. But I naturally have other uses for those things. But didn't you say they've been keeping an eye on us all this time? Then there must be people guarding us outside, right? The number of guards watching us most likely won't exceed 5. Shen Xun held up 3 fingers. Why do you say that? Shen Tian asked, puzzled. There are 3 reasons. Looking out from this house, it's all small woods, which proves it's definitely in the suburbs. Since they set the villa in the suburbs, they definitely don't want to be disturbed. Furthermore, to guard the 2 of us who don't even have the strength to trust a chicken, there's absolutely no need for many people. Shen Tian nodded subconsciously. Second, since they captured us and brought us straight here at the first instance, then there's a high probability that this villa is the place they use to conduct illegal activities. Third, if it really is, as I said, then the fewer people who know about this place, the better. That makes some sense. Shen Tian then asked, what about the last point? Take a look at this. From out of nowhere, Shen Xun pulled out a crumpled small slip of paper and handed it to Shen Tian. Find a way to come to the study at 3 a.m. I've left what you need there. The guards watching you do not exceed 5 people. There should be no more than 3 people indoors. The specific distribution is unclear. Be absolutely careful. Seeing this note, Shen Tian was completely left at a loss for a moment. Who left this for you? Yang Dong secretly stuffed it to me. So you knew all along. Why didn't you say so earlier? Shen Tian felt like she had just been played like a fool by him. Wasn't it because I was afraid you'd worry that I didn't tell you? Shen Xun felt a little embarrassed, taking back the note, tearing it to pieces, and flushing it down the toilet. Can Mr. Yang really be trusted? Shen Tian was somewhat anxious. Could we be escaping from the wolf's den only to enter the tiger's mouth? Since he dared to hide it from the 3 big bosses and stuff the note to me, then he should be trustworthy. But he was the one who dragged you into the storm in the first place. If he still wants to make even more money, he won't deceive me. Shen Tian suddenly thought of something. No wonder you sent him a message back then, telling him to invest all of his money. So you actually had this ace up your sleeve all along. He's no fool. He knows that if I work for those 3 big bosses, he won't get a single dime. Shen Xun said, but if he helps me, I will owe him a favor. He definitely won't lack benefits in the future. Every single investment of mine must yield a return. This is exactly what a qualified trader should possess. Shen Tian was stunned. She didn't expect this cousin of hers to actually calculate things to such an extent. He looks to be only in his early 20s, but his mind is comparable to those old monsters. The things he says and the actions he takes, how could any of this be done by someone in their early 20s? But even if Mr. Yang is really helping us, what should we do about the guards? Don't worry, I have my ways. Shen Xun gave a mysterious smile. So our goals for tonight are twofold. One is to find a communication tool, and the second is to find what Yang Dong left for us. What did he leave for us? No idea. If it's a pager, that would naturally be best. Shen Xun shrugged his shoulders. It's getting late. Let's get some rest first. I'll wake you up in a bit. Shen Xun stood up but was grabbed by Shen Tian. Where are you going? Shen Xun was stunned and said, I'm going to sleep on the sofa. Just sleep on the bed? This bed is huge. But what? We used to sleep together all the time when we were kids. Have you forgotten? Shen Tian didn't give him a choice, pulling Shen Xun back onto the bed with force, showing a rare overbearing side of her. You sleep here tonight. You'll catch a cold sleeping on the sofa. My goodness, you're a grown man. Why are you acting more hesitant than a girl? As if angry, Shen Tian pulled the blanket over her head, burying her head inside the covers, leaving only one final harsh sentence, sleep or don't sleep, up to you. Shen Xun was completely left at a loss by her. since she had already put it that way. It would be a bit unreasonable for Shenshun to keep declining. Taking off his outer clothes, Shenshun carefully slid into the covers. Lying on the soft large bed, it felt as though all the exhaustion from this recent period of time was completely washed away. Accidentally, Shenshun actually drifted straight into dreamland. What he didn't know was that Shenqian, who was less than half a meter away from him, had a blushing face and a racing heart at this moment. How could she feel sleepy at all? After Shenshun climbed up to sleep, unexpectedly, there was no movement from him at all. Shenqian was a bit curious. Just as she was about to speak, she realized a soft snoring sound was actually coming from beside her. Shenqian's cheeks burned red, and she desperately wanted to give this guy a punch. Idiot, idiot, big idiot. Shenshun, wake up. In his dream, Shenshun faintly heard a sweet voice calling out to him. Sister Qian. Shenshun rubbed his blurry eyes, looking completely sleep-deprived. What time is it now? Shenshun felt like he had just closed his eyes before being woken up, without any feeling of having had a full night's sleep. The room was pitch black, and the woods outside the window were exceptionally quiet. This hour was exactly the time when everything was asleep. There are still 10 minutes until 3 o'clock, Shenqian said with some helplessness. We should still be on time, right? Shenshun smacked the back of his head hard. At this moment, he realized he had almost ruined the important plan. Sorry, Sister Qian, I almost overslept. You've been too tired lately, haven't you? Shenqian shook her head. After all these things are over, you really should take a good long rest. In fact, he couldn't be blamed for being lazy. After going through so many things, Shenshun's mind had been in a state of high tension. Resting for just a few hours with great difficulty was completely insufficient to restore his perfect state. He needed to quickly find the things he was looking for, and then get a proper night's sleep. After preparing a little, the two stood at the doorway looking at each other. Are we heading out? Shenshun nodded firmly. Let's go. Follow right behind me. If we're discovered by the three big bosses, you run away immediately and I'll hold them back. Just as Shenshun was about to object, Shenqian seemed to know what he wanted to say, speaking up right before him. Now is not the time to argue. Just listen to me, okay? Helplessly, Shenshun nodded. All right, let's move. Shh. Shenshun quietly pulled open the bedroom door, leaving just a tiny crack. The lights in the hallway were already turned off. It was very dark and no sound of footsteps could be heard. Only then did Shenshun ease up slightly, boldly opening the door fully and stepping out of the room. Fortunately, no one was guarding the bedroom door. Come to think of it, the three big bosses were likely worried that it would arouse his suspicion. They were currently on the second floor. According to Shenshun's previous observations, the study was right next to the dining room, which meant it was on the first floor. This villa was at least 500 square meters. Its size was anything but ordinary. Therefore, their movements had to be cautious and discreet. In case the operation failed, the three big bosses would very likely drop all pretense immediately, or do something even more outrageous. Waiting around for death was definitely not Shenshun's style. Since there's still a chance left, he must seize it. Slow down, the light ahead is on. It seems someone is there, Shenshun said softly. The corner ahead leads to the stairs going down. To get to the first floor, this is the only way through. Looking closely, a tall, strapping, muscular man dressed in black was smoking a cigarette alone by the windowsill. What should we do? We don't seem to be a match for him. Who says we need to fight him? Shenshun said, Sister Qian, now is the time for you to step up. What should I do? I threw some things earlier and clogged the toilet. Go ask him to unclog it for us. To buy me some time. I will definitely rush back before it's over. That's too risky. Trust me. Shenqian nodded. In for a penny, in for a pound. Shenqian walked out openly. As expected. Hearing the noise, the big guy noticed her immediately. Big brother, could I trouble you with something? Shenqian said shyly. The toilet in our room seems to be clogged. Could you trouble yourself to take a look for us? It's late at night and I really have no other way. Sure, Miss Shen. I'll go get the tools for you. Shenshun, who was hiding on the side, thought to himself, this guy who looks so hard to deal with turned out to be a total softie for pretty girls. The big guy actually took Shenqian's words as absolute truth and quickly ran off to find the tools. Try your best to stall him and buy me some time. While the big guy went to look for the tools, Shenshun crept stealthily down the stairs. Getting downstairs led right into the living room. The lights were bright, and a man dressed in the exact same outfit as the previous big guy was sitting on the sofa, lowering his head as if reading something. Pricking up his ears to listen, Shenshun could even hear the man seemingly muttering to himself. That guard was sitting with his back completely turned towards Shenshun. Shenshun knew he couldn't delay, so he steeled his nerves and continued to go down. Stepping off the very last stair, Shenshun finally heard clearly what that man was saying. Oh, Prime Minister, what will the state of Shu do now that you are dead? Prime Minister, please don't die. Wah! This man was actually sobbing in a low voice, holding a novel in his hands. My goodness. It turned out, this guy was staying up late and got completely engrossed in the romance of the three kingdoms. However, this made it much easier for Shenshun to keep moving forward. Relying on his memory, Shenxun navigated through the darkness, unexpectedly reaching the door of the study without any hindrance. Shenxun could hardly believe that his luck was actually this good. Carefully slipping into the study, the room was pitch black. He didn't dare to turn on the lights. So how was he supposed to find the thing Yang Dong left behind? In such a huge study, just as Shenxun was deep in thought, a strange voice suddenly came from behind him, scaring him so much that goosebumps broke out all over his body instantly, and cold sweat poured down. Are you looking for this thing? Damn it! He had run into the absolute worst case scenario and got caught red-handed. Shenxun clenched his fist tightly, his brain racing to think of a way to break out of this situation. You must be Shenxun, right? The unfamiliar voice rang out from behind once again. This is the thing Yang Dong left for you. Seeing that Shenxun didn't say a word, the person behind him continued. Today after dinner, I saw him sneaking into the study in a suspicious manner, and only coming out after 10 minutes. I guessed right away that he must have done something in the study. Sure enough, I found what he left for you. So I've been waiting here for you all this time. What do you want? Shenxun turned around, but because the room was far too dark, it was completely impossible to see this person's appearance clearly. I haven't mentioned this matter to anyone, the person said. I can sell this thing to you. I'm very short on money. Shenxun was stunned for a moment and asked half believingly, how much money do you want? How much can you offer? The man asked in return. It's a pager and a document. I haven't touched any of it. Shenxun still felt this matter was fishy. You name a price. As long as you hand the things over to me and don't expose me, no matter how much money it is, I can give it to you. This number. By the faint moonlight, Shenxun clearly saw the person holding up a 5 towards him. 500 million, Shenxun gasped. This guy. Could it be that he overheard the conversation between him and the 3 big bosses? And that's why he came to blackmail him. His appetite is way too big, isn't it? Isn't he afraid of biting off more than he can chew? Seeing that Shenxun didn't speak for a long time, the man seemed unable to hold back. Put down 2 fingers, and his tone became a bit nervous. If 50,000 doesn't work, is 30,000 okay? Say that again. How much? Shenxun wondered if he had misheard. 3, forget it. Is 10,000 okay? For a moment, Shenxun was completely baffled by the person in front of him. Although 10,000 yuan is still quite valuable in this era, to the current Shenxun, it is absolutely a drop in the bucket. 8,000 is also fine. 10,000 it is. Shenxun didn't want to waste time. But I can't give it to you right now. My accounts are being monitored by them. When can you give it to me? I need the money urgently. Shenxun felt the man's attitude soften. How about this? You hand the pager to me first. Give me an account number, and I'll have my brother transfer it to you tomorrow. How about it? He also didn't know how things were going on Shen Qian's end. He had no time to delay and had to hurry back. How can I trust you? If you don't receive the money before 10 a.m. tomorrow, you can just report what I did directly to your boss. As for what your boss would do, you should be clearer about that than I am, right? 10 o'clock is a bit too late. The man remained silent for a long time, seemingly torn about the decision. Shenxun, however, didn't have the time to sit here with him and hesitate, saying urgently, I guarantee I won't lie to you. This makes things very difficult for me. The man was still hesitating. What's so difficult about it? You've dragged this on for so long, so you have to add more money. Why does it feel like I've heard these words somewhere before? How much more do you want me to add? 5,000? The man's tone softened again. Fine, I'll add 10,000 for you instead. Shenxun practically begged him to stop wasting time. Miss, the toilet has been unclogged for you. The big guy in black held a toilet plunger in one hand while using his other hand to wipe the sweat off his forehead. Then I won't disturb you any further. Wait, don't leave just yet. Shen Qian didn't expect this guy to work so incredibly fast, unclogging the toilet in less than 5 minutes. Miss, is there any other instruction? The big guy asked, feeling puzzled. Could you help me check the air conditioner? Shen Qian was not very good at lying. I feel like there's a weird smell coming from this AC. Could it be a bit moldy because it hasn't been used for too long? This room indeed hasn't been used for quite a long time. The big guy nodded. All right, I'll take a look for you. Shen Qian thought to herself, fortunately, this big guy is single-minded and doesn't have any malicious intent. She felt slightly relieved, but the big guy's next sentence scared Shen Qian so much that she broke into a cold sweat. By the way, miss, how come I don't seem to see the gentleman who is staying with you? He's far too exhausted, sleeping over there like a total pig. Just ignore him. Shen Qian pointed at the large bed 10 meters away and said, look, even us talking like this won't wake him up. The big guy glanced over, perhaps because the lighting was far too dim. The big guy didn't think much of it. Then I'll try my best to keep my movements quiet. Shen Qian let out a sigh of relief. Luckily, she had stuffed some things under the covers beforehand. From a distance, it really looked like someone was lying there asleep. But it was also thanks to this guy being simple-minded enough. If it were someone smart enough, they would have probably been exposed by now. Although this fellow was quite simple-minded, his hands and feet were surprisingly efficient. In less than 3 minutes, he had already taken down the air conditioner's filter, washed it completely clean, and installed it right back. The entire sequence of movements was as smooth as flowing water, leaving Shen Qian completely staring in astonishment. Big brother, could you work a bit slower? Miss, it should be working fine now. The big guy closed the air conditioner cover tightly, and after confirming everything was correct, said to Shen Qian, since there's nothing else, I will... Before the big guy could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Shen Qian. Look at how much you've sweated. If you get hit by the wind later, you'll catch a terrible cold. Why don't you take a shower before leaving? The big guy was stunned. Rubbing his buzz cut, he said, I appreciate your kindness, miss, but I still have to go back and keep watch to protect the two of you. Big brother, don't be so bashful. I've troubled you so late at night, and I truly feel bad about it in my heart. Shen Qian smiled fake sweetly. Take a hot shower to relax and unwind. There's really no need, miss. I still have a mission on my shoulders, so I absolutely cannot leave my post without permission. The boss will find me. Isn't your mission just to keep watch and protect us? As long as we stay here nicely and don't cause any trouble for you, it'll be fine. Shen Qian's lying skills seem to have improved somewhat. Besides, your boss is already asleep, and there are no cameras here. Who would know whether you're working diligently or not? Shen Qian blinked her seductive eyes. Am I right, big brother? Miss, I deeply appreciate your good intentions. But since I take people's money, I must do their work. I absolutely cannot disappoint my employer. The big guy spoke righteously and sternly, patting his chest with passionate enthusiasm, and said with immense pride. Shen Qian was utterly speechless. Is this guy completely immune to persuasion? If it were anyone else, being pestered and soft-talked like this by a top-tier beauty of Shen Qian's level, they would have probably raised the white flag and surrendered long ago. Yet this fellow actually didn't waver in the slightest. It was truly ridiculous. It's literally opening the door for ridiculousness, beyond absurd. All right, miss. The night is late, so please rest early. I won't continue to disturb you. Saying this, the big guy prepared to open the door and leave. Shen Qian was so anxious that her back was covered in sweat. If she let him go back right now, Shen Qian wouldn't be able to return. Shen Qian clenched her fists stubbornly. No matter what happens today, she has to make this guy stay. Shen Qian hurriedly grabbed the big guy's sleeve, forcing out a smile. That looked even worse than crying. Big brother, you must be thirsty, right? Why don't you have some water before you go? No need, miss. I'm not thirsty right now. Then, would you like something to eat? I've already eaten a midnight snack. Would you like to use the restroom first? Shen Qian was so anxious that she didn't even know what she was saying anymore. Miss, are you keeping something hidden from me? The big guy seemed to realize something, shifting his gaze toward the large bed in the distance. Shen Qian thought to herself, oh no, I can't hide it anymore. No, I'm not. What could I possibly hide from you? Why is it that we're making such a loud ruckus? Yet that gentleman seems completely unable to hear us. Damn it, it got noticed. Is that so? Driven into a corner. Shen Qian could only play dumb. Didn't he just roll over a moment ago? I need to go over and confirm it now. Please move aside. The big guy's tone began to turn serious. It's so late, let's not go over and disturb him, okay? Shen Qian's forehead was covered in cold sweat, and her heart rate even exceeded 120. In case he has a terrible morning temper and bothers your boss, you'll probably get your pay docked right. I will repeat this one last time. Please move aside. The big guy was absolutely a textbook example of being immune to persuasion. No matter how much Shen Qian tried to persuade him, he wouldn't listen. Now that things had reached this point, if she still didn't move out of the way, he would probably resort to using force. Having no choice, Shen Qian slowly backed up a bit, watching him step right past her line of defense. In the blink of an eye, the big guy had already arrived at the bedside, grabbing a corner of the quilt, about to lift it up to get a look. Shen Qian despairingly closed her eyes, leaning powerlessly against the wall. At this moment, her heart was filled with immense self-reproach. She had failed to live up to his expectations. She could even foresee what the three big bosses would do to them. Everything was over. Hey, what are you doing? Hearing that familiar voice, Shen Qian's ashen face suddenly regained some color. What the hell? Why are you lifting my covers? Are you sick or something? Shen Shun rubbed his eyelids, while pointing at the big guy and cursing. Do you know what time it is? You're not sleeping, so why are you coming here to pull my covers? Shen Shun's tone carried a menacing anger. If Shen Qian didn't know the truth, she would probably have been bluffed by this guy too. Is this what you call acting? Sir, I'm truly sorry. I just wanted to confirm. If you were here, sir? Confirm what? Confirm what? It's so late if I'm not sleeping here. Could I possibly have snuck down to the first floor to play? I was sleeping so soundly. But after you messed things up like this, I thought I was being assassinated. I am really sorry. Please forgive my offense. Do you believe that I'll tell your boss tomorrow and get you fired immediately? Hearing this threat, the big guy panicked. No. Sir, please don't tell my boss. I don't want to lose this job. Please don't hold this against me. Forgive me this one time. The big guy bowed and apologized, his attitude extremely sincere. After all that, even Shen Shun felt embarrassed to say anything harsh. Shen Shun pretended to be impatient. All right. I can't be bothered to pursue this further. Go do whatever you need to do, and don't disturb my sleep. Thank you, sir. I'll get lost right now. After saying that, the big guy dashed out of the room at top speed, carefully closing the door, for fear of disturbing Shen Xun's rest. Once he left, all the strength in Shen Qian's body seemed to be drained away. She collapsed onto the floor, her voice even carrying a hint of sobbing. When did you get back? You scared me to death. Wah! Shen Xun was startled by her state, quickly jumping off the bed, holding her shoulders and softly comforting her. I'm sorry. I came back late and made you worry. I climbed in through the window of the first floor study. I saw you guys talking, so I didn't notify you. Shen Xun gently stroked her head and said softly, thanks to you buying me time. Shen Qian was taken aback, carefully sizing up Shen Xun, and said anxiously, climbing the window, it's very high up here. What if you had fallen? Am I not completely fine right now? Shen Xun smiled. Are you worried about me? Isn't it completely normal for an older sister to worry about her younger brother? Shen Qian stubbornly argued back with a blush. Touch, Shen Xun curled his lips, not wanting to get entangled with her on this topic. Did you get the stuff? What is it? It's something that is enough to let you and me escape from these evil clutches. The corner of Shen Xun's mouth curled up slightly. The next morning, Mr. Shen, Miss Shen, are you awake yet? Butler Liu arrived right on time at their door to ask. Shen Xun's voice came from inside the room. It's so early, can't we sleep in a bit? The chairman invites the two of you to the hall for breakfast. The door was pushed open. Shen Xun and Shen Qian, who had already dressed neatly long ago, the brother and sister, said to Butler Liu, we've been ready for breakfast. We're starving. Following Butler Liu to the dining room, the three big bosses were already seated, having already started eating breakfast. Seeing Shen Xun walk in, Huang Haitao warmly greeted him, morning little Shen. Did you sleep well here last night? Thanks to your blessings. The bed I slept on was very comfortable, but I still prefer my own bed. Shen Xun let out a yawn and took his seat along with Shen Qian. Don't be in such a hurry, little Shen. Going back is just a matter of a few days. Haste makes waste, you know. Director Huang chimed in. If you really can't get used to sleeping on it, how about I find someone to go to your house and bring your bed over here? Ha ha! The short-tempered Director Hu burst into loud laughter. Shen Xun's facial muscles twitched for a moment, but he didn't lose his temper, only giving a couple of awkward laughs. Little Shen, I've already sent men to install the equipment. Today is the first battle. Are you confident? Huang Haitao stuffed a piece of sandwich into his mouth. All of our money is riding on you now. Shen Xun understood. This was actually a reminder for him not to try any funny business. Don't worry, I will definitely not disappoint you. In fact, even putting aside the factor of being threatened, this kind of short-term trading was practically a piece of cake for Shen Xun. In his past life, Shen Xun could no longer remember how many companies had invited him to be their trader. Almost without exception, he had perfectly met the client's requirements. But this time it was different. By the time they finished breakfast, it was already 9 a.m., with half an hour left before the stock market opened. The equipment had also been fully installed. Shen Xun was logging into the account, while Shen Qian, having nothing to do, sat on a chair playing with her hands. The three big bosses sat right behind Shen Xun, staring intently at him. There were 7 companies in total, and at present, their average market value did not exceed 300 million. Today, the three big bosses had prepared several trader accounts for Shen Xun, leaving all of them to him to trade. Shen Qian was responsible for managing the funds. Even though she had seen much of the world, seeing such a massive amount of money still couldn't help but make her feel a little nervous. But for Shen Xun, 100 million was absolutely nothing. If the funds that passed through his hands were actually counted, it would probably be an astronomical figure. The clock struck 9:30, and the stock market opened right on time. Shen Xun's originally lazy eyes suddenly brightened up. Buy Company B's stock with 30 million in 3 batches. Buy Company D's stock with 10 million in 5 batches. Someone has noticed one of our stocks. Buy in slowly, don't rush. Holy crap, this kid really has what it takes. Director Hu watched the steadily climbing stock prices, his eyes nearly popping out of his head. He doesn't just have what it takes. He's practically on a monstrous level, Director Huang said with squinted eyes, operating 7 stocks simultaneously all by himself. And yet, he can still keep everything so steady and orderly. If this isn't a monster, what is? Old Huang, if he really achieves the goals we requested within 3 days, are we really going to let him go back? Director Hu asked. If he is willing to work for us forever, there's no harm in letting him go back. Huang Haitao's eyes kept staring at the large screen ahead. And what if he's not willing? He has no choice. Huang Haitao said expressionlessly. In Juzhou, if we want someone, would anyone else dare to take them? Halalala. True, how did I not think of that? It always has to be you, old Huang. But we did kidnap him here after all. So he must hold some resentment towards us. We have to think of a way to keep him here. Director Huang lit a cigar for himself. Isn't that easy to handle? If 100 million won't make him stay, then 200 million or 300 million stay. Director Hu said nonchalantly, I can just crush him to death with money. Do you honestly think someone with his kind of capability would ever be short on money? Director Huang rolled his eyes. Then what do you think we should do? Huang Haitao was still staring expressionlessly at the large screen. Those who cannot be used by us naturally can only be destroyed. Meanwhile, in a certain stock forum, a crowd of retail investors was fiercely discussing today's stock losses. Netizen brothers, the market conditions are terrible. Starting today, it's a sea of green again. I can barely hold on. Netizen B, damn it. I've already lost 40% over these past 2 days. If this keeps up, I'll have worked the whole year for nothing. Netizen C brothers, I just lost a Mercedes-Benz. Can anyone help me? Netizen A, where did you lose it? Netizen B, you lost your car? And you still have time to post on this forum. Hurry up and call the police. Netizen C, calling the police won't help. Netizen B, what do you mean by that? Netizen C, I lost it in the Hong Kong stock market, attaching a screenshot of his returns. On the image, it clearly showed a return of negative 400,000. Once this image was posted, the replies below the forum were instantly filled with awesome. Netizen A, is there anyone who can recommend a reliable stock? Netizen B, are you dreaming? Asia's in a full-blown financial crisis right now. Where are you going to buy a reliable stock? Netizen D brothers, I think I found a pretty good stock. It didn't even drop along with the broader market. Netizen C, an internet company isn't that just a chump stock? It pops up in the morning and gets completely harvested by the afternoon. Only a fool would jump in. Netizen E, I think this upward trend is a bit insane though. The market just opened not long ago and it's already up 3%. Netizen D, I'm going all in first. You guys can wait and watch slowly. Netizen D attached a screenshot which clearly showed a buy-in of 1 million yuan. Once this image was posted, the replies below the forum were instantly writing, worshipping the big boss. Netizen F, a big boss is amazing. I'll follow the big boss with a lot. Netizen B, fine. Even if this is a chump stock. It's a chump stock that can actually go up. I'm increasing my position and charging in too. In an instant, the entire forum was discussing this single stock. Some people believe this company just happened to catch the right wave. But some people also believed that a stock rising against the market trend was just a mirage, and it would eventually succumb to the broader market force. Inside a certain villa, Mr. Huang, these companies of ours have all broken out of the red zone today and turned green, especially Changsheng Internet Company. Its stock price has already exceeded 35 cents, and the trading volume as of 10 o'clock has broken through past records. The secretary excitedly reported this astonishing achievement right beside Huang Haitao. Changsheng's current growth has already broken through 10%, and it is expected to reach 20% before the morning market closes. The rest of the companies have at least a 3% increase. Faced with such a battle report, even the 3 big bosses couldn't help but gasp. This kid can no longer be described as just a talent. He's practically a genius, no, a prodigy. Director Hu stared at the big screen, not even daring to breathe heavily. The Hong Kong stock market has no daily price limits. I really want to know to what extent this kid can pull it off today. However, this initial cash investment is a bit large. Director Huang sighed. The 100 million we prepared was actually not even enough for him to use for an hour. Old Huang, can you have some ambition? Director Hu patted his shoulder. I did a rough calculation, excluding the 30 million we already threw in to pump up the stock prices. Based on the current prices, we still made a net profit of 100 million. As long as we dump the stocks in our hands when the time comes, are you still worried we won't get our investment back? Thanks for your hard work, Sister Qian. Now that the market has stabilized, you can rest for a bit. Shen Xuan handed a bottle of water to Shen Qian, who was sitting on the side. Thanks. Shen Qian took the water, her hand still trembling slightly. She could hardly believe that in just one morning, the stock prices of these companies had risen by so much under the hands of the two of them. Set your sights a bit further. This is only the beginning. Shen Qian was completely unfazed. The real highlight comes later. But is this really okay? Shen Qian was somewhat worried. I'm afraid things will spiral out of control next. Haha, don't worry. Everything is going according to plan. As the morning session drew close to its end, the stock forum completely blew up. Usually a post getting over 100 views was already considered quite high. But today a single post actually achieved over 10,000 views. Netizen A, buying Changsheng, earned back all my recent losses, brothers. Netizen B, holy crap. I thought I was going to starve to death this year. Luckily, I hopped on Changsheng's train. It's absolutely unstoppable. Netizen C, I unilaterally declare that Changsheng is my savior. Netizen B seconded. Netizen D, brothers, I'm in a great mood today. Let me send everyone a lucky money packet to spice things up. He then sent out a grand 1001 digital red packet, which was completely snatched up in just a single minute. Netizen A, the boss is so generous. Netizen B, the boss earned a Mercedes-Benz in a single morning. Deal with it. Right after that, Netizen D attached another screenshot. On the image were his earnings for today. Today's profit, 369,753.63 yuan. Netizen C, big boss. Is it still too late for me to get on board now? I admit my voice was a bit too loud just now. Netizen D, just go all in and that's it. Right after that, he sent another image. The image showed a buy-in of 1 million yuan, and the purchase time was exactly 1 minute before the market closed. As netizen D doubled down once again, the entire forum spiraled out of control even further. In just a single morning, the forum users' attitude toward Changsheng Company shifted from one extreme to believing that buying it meant instant profit. In no time, Changsheng Company's mighty reputation gradually spread throughout the stock circle. The midday break ended and the time came to 1 p.m. You could see Changsheng Company's K-line acting just like a perfectly straight golden cudgel, pointing straight up into the sky. Countless people were incredibly excited by this, and everyone even had the illusion that a bull market had arrived. But in reality, the broader market was still a sea of green. It was just that the performance of these few companies, including Changsheng, was truly a bit insane. Mr. Huang, Mr. Shun says we need to add another. Mr. Huang, Mr. Shun says we need to add one more. The secretary walked over to Huang Haitao's side, their voice trembling slightly. Just add it. There's no need to tell me about such a trivial matter. Huang Haitao narrowed his eyes, staring at the stocks ahead. Old Huang, we have already added 500 million. Director Huang frowned. If this keeps up, our cash flow probably won't hold out for much longer. Sigh, Old Huang. This is exactly why you're called Old Huang, while he is called Brother Huang. Director Hu burst into a couple of loud laughs. Even if the cash burns out completely, so what? Just sell some of the stocks in our hands. To cash out a bit and everything will be solved, right? Then how about we sell some right now? Old Huang, are you out of your mind? The momentum is just right at the moment. If you sell now, it's equivalent to losing money. Director Hu said with a face full of disdain. Look at how cowardly you are. You've only spent a few hundred million and you're already scared like this. I'm really just worried it might drop. What is there to worry about? Director Hu said with complete dismissiveness. If the stock price drops, I'll eat this screen right here on the spot. On the retail investor forum, today's traffic was several times higher than usual. The view count of a single post had even broken through 30,000. This was a grand spectacle almost never seen under normal circumstances. The primary reason was that many retail investors were following a user with the username Common Prosperity to build positions. He had recommended several stocks on the forum, and he had bought at least 1 million for each stock. Such a lavish operation by a retail investor was very, very rare in this era. What was even rarer was that under these market conditions, every single stock he chose turned out to be all red without exception. Even if it was green before buying, it would turn red right after he built his position. This kind of person can generally only be described with 2 words: stock god. What was even more commendable was that this person publicized almost every single one of his operations right inside the forum. In other words, as long as you followed his buys, you would absolutely never lose money. As a result, Common Prosperity was called a living bodhisattva by the netizens, receiving the pursuit and love of countless retail investors. It's a pity there are no trending search lists in this era. Otherwise, Common Prosperity would definitely be today's hottest topic. Netizen, Brother Prosperity is truly a god. This series of operations today has completely left me dazed. Netizen E, I wonder where Brother Prosperity is currently employed. Regarding the stock market, I have many areas where I'd like to ask for your advice. Could you do me the honor of having a meal together? Below this comment was also an attached photo, which turned out to be a selfie of a beautiful woman, and a rather seductive one at that. Netizen F, damn, what a shameless vixen. Is our Brother Prosperity really that superficial of a person? Right after that, Netizen B also posted a selfie with the attached text, Brother Prosperity is a guy, okay? The posts downstairs were full of disdain for Netizen B, yet everyone still posted their own selfies. There were men, there were women, and there was even a white-haired elderly person. Netizen C, brothers, I want to erect a monument for Brother Prosperity. What kind of inscription does everyone think would be proudest? This matter was spreading like wildfire among the retail investors, but the actual owners of the company had absolutely zero interest in these minor squabbles among retail investors. Time flew by very quickly, and it was time for the market to close. Today's Hong Kong stock market could be said to have only 2 types of people. One type who bought shares of Changsheng Company, and another type who did not buy shares of Changsheng Company. The investors holding Changsheng stock could be summarized in 2 words: ecstatically rich. Mr. Huang, today, the companies under our banner have basically achieved a triple jump in their market value. The most outstanding one is undoubtedly Changsheng Company, whose market value has officially doubled, with the share price reaching 80 cents. Today, Mr. Shen burned through 800 million yuan in order to pump up the stock prices. Right now, the value of the shares of these companies held in our group's hands is approximately 4 billion yuan, whereas before today, the total value of the shares of these companies did not exceed 500 million yuan. In other words, our group's net profit today is approximately 2.7 billion yuan. The chief financial officer's hands were trembling slightly as he held today's financial report. You have to know, because they experienced the Black Swan event the day before yesterday. The total losses of the groups under the 3 big bosses' names amounted to approximately 5 billion yuan. Yet today, using only a single day's time, they had already earned more than half of it back, and they earned it even under such stagnant market conditions. What do you call a roller coaster of emotions? This is what you call a massive bounce back from rock bottom. Brother Shen is truly a rare genius of our time. Huang Haitao smiled and came jogging all the way over to Shensun. Today was truly hard work for you. It was a bit tiring indeed. Call 2 masseuses for my sister and me tonight, and make sure they have good skills. Shensun rubbed his somewhat dry eyes, standing up to stretch his muscles. Haha, Brother Shen, feel free to make any request you have. Then what if I want to go home? Is that okay too? Shensun raised an eyebrow. If Brother Shen wants to go home, of course you can, Huang Haitao said with a fake smile. It's just that there are still 2 days left until our agreed date. After 2 days, I will naturally let Brother Shen go home. Shensun sneered in his heart. This bastard sure knows how to dodge the main issue and give a superficial answer. Fine, hurry up and have someone prepare dinner. After eating, we still need our massages. Half an hour before the market opened the next day, common prosperity, today our full position in Changsheng remains unchanged. Those with ammo add more ammo. Those without ammo borrow ammo. Those who can't borrow any do as you see fit. Netizen A, Brother Prosperity, Qiangsheng literally rocketed to the sky yesterday. Do we really still need to go full position today? Netizen B, Brother Prosperity, I've thrown all my wedding funds into this. You're not going to trick us, right? Netizen C, damn it, what are you guys afraid of? Afraid of making money? Add to your positions, add to your positions. Common Prosperity, trust me brothers. I guarantee I'll keep bringing everyone along to feast today. Netizen D, trust Brother Prosperity, just do it and that's it. Netizen B, the cowardly will starve while the bold will feast, charge. Netizen C, I didn't follow Brother Prosperity yesterday and felt like I lost $1 million. I absolutely cannot miss out today. I mortgaged my Audi A6 for $400,000 and I'm going to pawn my house later too. Below this comment was an attached image and the content showed a successful purchase with an amount of 400,000 yuan. After the market opened, Qiangsheng Company once again made everyone's jaws drop. The initial growth rate went straight to 20%. Insane, totally insane. In an instant, the name Brother Prosperity echoed throughout the entire forum, becoming an unshakable true god in the hearts of retail investors. Netizen A, starting from today, I now have 2 fathers. Netizen B, what was Brother Prosperity's major? Fortune telling. Netizen C, brothers, I've changed my mind. We're not erecting a monument for Brother Prosperity anymore. We're building a temple instead. Below was a synchronized stream of comments. Count me in for the incense money. Netizen A, I've already thrown away the God of Wealth statue worshipped in my house and replaced it with a brand new God of Wealth. What do you guys think? An attached photo followed shortly. On the photo, the deity originally worshipped on the altar had been replaced by him with the avatar of Common Prosperity. Up until now, out of every 10 posts on this forum, 9 of them were discussing what kind of person Common Prosperity actually was. Some people said he was an insider who knew the inside scoop. Others said he just hit the jackpot by sheer luck. And some even more ridiculously said he was the reincarnation of the God of Wealth, making a profit on whatever he buys. Although his true identity remained unclear, no one questioned his operations anymore. Every single step of his operations was actually flawless. Sometimes, he could even perfectly dodge some minor drops. As the stock market closed, the second day of trading also came to an end. Today, 1.5 billion yuan was spent to pump up the stock prices. Looking at this financial report, the chief financial officer's mind was already a bit dazed. He could hardly believe that this report was made by his own hands. But the market value of Changsheng Company alone had already reached 6 billion yuan. Just tell me the net profit directly. Huang Haitao interrupted the financial officer's words. Today's net profit is 6.2 billion yuan. On the third day, which was the final day of the agreement between Shenshun and the 3 big bosses, Boss Huang, today is the last day. Shenshun sat at the round table, using a knife and fork to cut a piece of top-tier snow steak imported from New Zealand. The red wine next to it was a 1976 Romani Conti worth hundreds of thousands. No wonder there's a saying that it's easy to go from poverty to luxury, but hard to go from luxury to poverty. Shenshun had now completely experienced this firsthand. On the very first day he was kidnapped, the dishes the 3 big bosses prepared for him, though wide in variety, had Shenshun not agreed to their demands, the other party would have probably flipped the table on the spot. But ever since he displayed his extraordinary skills to them, Shenshun's status here skyrocketed like a rocket. The 3 big bosses even treated him like a precious treasure. He stayed in a room equivalent to a presidential suite and ate the top-tier delicacies usually reserved for bosses worth hundreds of millions. Enjoying this kind of life, any ordinary person would have probably succumbed to corruption long ago. But how could Shenshun be someone who greedily seeks pleasure and comfort? His agreement with the 3 big bosses was to raise the average stock price of these companies to 10 yuan per share. Yet, as early as yesterday afternoon, the stock of Changsheng Group alone had already risen to a staggering 20 yuan. You have to know, before Shenxun took over the trading Changsheng Company's stock, was at a pitiful 20 cents a share. Through Shenxun's operations, Changsheng Company's market value directly exploded by 100 times. Although this was partly due to the three big bosses continuously injecting capital, they knew very well in their hearts that if an ordinary trader invested 1 million, 5% rate of return would already be considered pretty good. An expert trader's rate of return is generally around 20%. But what was Shenxun's rate of return? It was a terrifying 500%. Shenxun had actually fulfilled his agreement with the three big bosses long ago. Even though they all knew this perfectly well, not a single person brought it up. The attitude of the three big bosses was already very clear. And that is even after today passes, it's impossible for them to let you go. After all, whoever holds a treasure bowl in their hands could never give it up easily, right? Let alone these greedy capitalists. Once the job is done, please keep your promise and let my sister and me go home. Shenxun stuffed a piece of steak into his mouth. Huang Haitao, who was sitting across from him, still looked the same as always, saying with a fake smile, "It has indeed been hard work for Brother Shen during this time. After the job is done today, I must host a banquet to thank you. Boss Huang, the banquet won't be necessary. We haven't contacted our family for a very long time, so I'm afraid they might be worried." What are you saying? No one is allowed to leave. Leaving would mean not giving this Huang here any face. Huang Haitao still maintained a warm and genial appearance, but the more Shenxun looked at him, the more he wanted to flatten this dead fat pig with a single punch. We really should skip it. Not contacting our family for so long. They must be very anxious. Shenxun pretended to look pleading. Ha ha ha. Brother Shen can rest assured. How could I possibly neglect your honorable parents? They are living a wonderful life right now. If you don't believe me, look at this. Huang Haitao took out a remote control from somewhere. With a light pressed, the large TV next to the round table suddenly showed an image. Dad, Mom. Shenxian gasped in disbelief, covering her mouth. Even uncle and aunt are there too. On the screen, Shenxun's and Chan's parents appeared together in the exact same room, their expressions looking quite solemn. The muscles on Shenxun's face twitched twice, forcefully suppressing the rage in his heart. Boss Huang, what is the meaning of this? Brother Shen, don't misunderstand. Your parents are staying at a villa under my name. There are dedicated staff members waiting on them. Lately, I always saw them wandering around aimlessly on the streets, which is so dangerous. Isn't it much better that I found a safe place for them to stay? Shen Qian was just about to curse at Huang Haitao for being shameless, but she was held back by Shen Shun grabbing her slender arm. Both my parents and yours are in his hands, so we can't fall out with him just yet, Shen Shun whispered to Shen Qian. But don't worry, I will definitely make them pay the price, and it will be today. Hidden beneath the table, Shen Shun's clenched knuckles cracked loudly. Shen Qian looked at the man in front of her. His face was filled with determination and resolve. For some unknown reason, she could actually trust him unconditionally. Her heavily hanging heart actually settled down just like that. I understand Mr. Huang's kind intentions. I will stay tonight then. Seeing that Shen Shun was actually so tactful, Huang Haitao smiled broadly. Haha, great. Brother Shen is truly straightforward. Come, let me propose a toast to you. Shen Shun expressionlessly raised his wine glass, drinking the remaining half of the red wine in one gulp. I've had my fill of food and drink. Boss Huang, I'll go get to work first. Shen Shun put down his wine glass and quickly left the table with Shen Qian. Brother Huang truly calculates everything flawlessly. I didn't expect this kid to be controlled so easily. Director Hu, who was still at the table, swirled the red wine glass in his hand. I had people check up on him before. This kid has no wife and no children. The only leverage we can hold over him is the two old folks in his family. They always say family is a man's only weakness, and this statement is indeed not wrong at all. As long as his parents are in our hands, this golden goose will keep laying golden eggs for us forever. Huang Haitao laughed with clear arrogance. A genius, even if you're a prodigy, so what? On this territory of Zhuzhou, even if Jesus came, he would still have to work for us. Brother Huang is right. Director Hu also smiled proudly. But turning his head, he noticed that Director Huang on the side looked as if he had a mind full of worries. Old Huang, what's wrong? Did your wife run away with someone else? Screw off. Did your wife run away with someone else? Director Huang rolled his eyes at him. I'm just thinking, if our business is going a bit too smoothly, isn't going smoothly a good thing? Director Hu couldn't understand. By your logic, it's only normal for us to lose money. I just feel like something is off, but I can't say exactly what is wrong. Director Huang said with deep worry. I've been having the exact same dream for the past 2 days. What dream? Director Hu asked curiously. I dreamed that the three of us were squatting in a prison cell. Damn it, are you sick or something? Director Hu threw a punch at his chest. Do you want me to help you make an appointment with a doctor? You're the one who's sick? Is there anything wrong with me being careful? Who's like you completely single-minded? Who are you calling single-minded? Enough. Seeing the atmosphere between the two starting to turn strange, Huang Haitao frowned and scolded. Are you two still 5-year-old children? What a disgrace to argue out loud like this here. Being scolded like this by Huang Haitao, Director Hu and Director Huang quickly stood up, bowed, and admitted their mistake. We are sorry, Brother Huang. Old Hu, when can you fix that temper of yours? Fix, I will definitely fix it. Director Hu completely shed his usual hot-tempered appearance. At this moment, he looked just like a child who had made a mistake and was being punished by a parent. And you, my old Huang? Oyi. Huang Haitao shook his head, looking deeply pained as he said, can you not be paranoid all day long? Squatting in a prison cell together. Do you know why the police stations in Juzhou can support a bunch of lazy good-for-nothing fellas and still pay out their salaries? Huang Haitao pointed right at Director Huang's nose and scolded. It's not because Juzhou's finances are so wealthy, but because the taxes I alone pay every year are enough to support this entire district. Arrest me. On what grounds would they arrest me? The officials in the entire Juzhou are all my people. If they arrest me, the governor of Juzhou will have to be replaced. Do you understand? I understand, Director Huang said in panic and fear. I wasn't questioning your weight. I was just worried that the kid might stir up some trouble under our noses. Huang Haitao said with complete contempt. Just based on a wet, behind-the-ears bratty kid like him, an upstart, I've been in Juzhou for so many years and spent so much money feeding so many people fat. Do you think they're all useless? He and his parents are all right under our eyes. What could he possibly do? Would he even dare to play us? Old Huang Haitao's face turned from red to calm, letting out a sigh. In Juzhou, even if the sky falls, down there is no need to fear. Yet, because I am holding up this sky, understand. Understand. Director Huang's head nodded like a chicken pecking rice. Knock, knock, knock. At this moment, a series of knocks came from outside the dining room. Huang Haitao let out a sigh and sat down properly. Seeing the person who entered, he asked Xiao Liu, why did you come over here? The one called Xiao Liu was exactly the chief financial officer under the three big bosses group. He could be seen panting heavily, looking just as if he had run 10 kilometers. Mr. Huang, Mr. Shen's side says we need to add more money. Huang Haitao frowned. Just do it according to Mr. Shen's wishes. Didn't I tell you before that there is no need to report this kind of thing to me? Being snapped at like this by Huang Haitao, Xiao Liu's face turned somewhat pale, and he said with extreme caution, but the amount this time is a bit large, and I can't make the call, which is why I came to notify you. How much? Xiao Liu did not speak, but instead raised 2 fingers, trembling with fear. It's only 200 million, and you call this large? Xiao Liu shook his head. Huang Haitao's frown deepened. Just tell me how much directly. Don't play riddles with me. 2 billion? As his voice fell, even the three big bosses who had seen massive waves froze up in unison. Before this, the largest amount they injected at one time was only 300 million. But this time, Shen Xun actually requested them to inject 2 billion in one go. Injecting such an amount of cash all at once, even for the three big bosses, was something they had to weigh very carefully. Cash flow of 2 billion is not the same as assets. In this day and age, if a company can directly bring out 100 million in cash, it is already considered very impressive. Yet what Shen Xun wanted them to bring out all at once was a whopping 2 billion. Brother Huang, I don't think we should inject it. If we do, our cash flow will completely break. Since the stock price is high enough, we should just stop sell and call it a day. Director Huang hurriedly advised. But Mr. Shen said that as long as the bosses are willing to inject this 2 billion, he guarantees today's returns will reach at least 10 billion. Xiao Liu added. The three of them gasped in unison. Brother Huang, I think we absolutely must go for this. Director Hu stood up abruptly. We can get our investment back this afternoon anyway. So what if we charge in? We can't invest. If even a single thing goes wrong, it might be too much for us to bear. Director Huang still opposed. I say, old Huang, how can you have so little courage? Director Hu snorted disdainfully at his cowardly behavior. With this kind of courage, don't do finance. You might as well just go become a civil servant. What did you say? Provoked like this, Director Huang's temper flared up as well. I just don't want to be a reckless fool like you. Enough, I am still right here. Are you two ever going to stop? Huang Haitao slammed his large hand down, knocking over the red wine on the table. Listen to me at it. Is this really appropriate? Director Huang wanted to advise further, but was interrupted. My mind is made up. Do not speak of it again. Well, all right. After hesitating repeatedly, Director Huang still decided to give up on trying to persuade him. Common prosperity, brothers, it's still the same old saying. Those with ammo add more ammo. Those without ammo borrow ammo. Anyone who can go full position right now, go full position for me. Netizen A, received, everyone follow his lead. Netizen B, I even asked for my son's New Year lucky money to put it in. Brothers charge in. Netizen C, I'm only short of selling my husband now. An image was attached right behind. On the image, it showed her signing a house sale contract with an agent. Common prosperity, 1 hour from now is very critical. Everyone must pay close attention to my updates, and absolutely do not lose track. Netizen A, received. Today's stock market was exceptionally lively, especially the stock prices of those few companies, held in the hands of the three big bosses. Exactly like the market conditions of the past 2 days, they kept soaring upward without a single stop. But clearly, today's upward trend was even more ferocious. With the market open for only an hour and a half, Jiangsheng Company's stock price had already risen by 80%. This could be said to be a grand spectacle completely unheard of in the stock market. Brothers, I originally owed over $1 million from gambling, and now it's all back. Thank you, Brother Prosperity. From now on, I am your devout follower. My mother is gravely ill and needs a large amount of money for surgery. Originally, I only wanted to invest a few thousand to try it out, but I unexpectedly ended up making enough for the surgery fees. Brother Prosperity, you are my God. During this period of time, basically, anyone who bought the stocks recommended by Brother Prosperity had fundamentally achieved financial freedom within these few days. What was even more exaggerated was that within the next single hour, these few stocks actually completed a total doubling. This doubling was an unprecedented, record-breaking featuring. Over these 3 days, the stock trading volume of Jiangsheng Company had even reached a shocking 100 billion mark. But right when everyone believed that these stocks would continue to rise, Common Prosperity suddenly spoke up, brothers, everyone who currently holds the stocks of these companies, sell them all right now? A single simple sentence, yet it stirred up an endless storm of comments. Netizen A, holy crap, is it time to harvest the chumps? They're rising so well, do we really have to sell everything? Netizen B, Brother Prosperity, are you sure there's no mistake? Sell them all. Common Prosperity, yes. I will repeat it one more time. Sell them all. And he attached a screenshot. On the image was Common Prosperity's ID, along with his current shareholding amount. The image very clearly displayed that he had already cleared all positions, leaving absolutely nothing behind. Exactly 1 minute after Common Prosperity finished posting, the stock prices of the companies he mentioned instantly stopped rising. After a brief pause, the stock prices took a sharp turn downward. A single stone rippled across 1,000 layers of waves. The retail investors across the entire forum completely blew up. These few stocks, which were highly sought after just days ago, right as they were approaching a breakthrough of the 50 mark, had their K-lines rapidly plummet like a plane crash. Just 5 minutes after Common Prosperity announced the news, they directly dropped by 5%. Netizen A, holy crap. Brother Prosperity is a true god. He said it would drop, and it actually dropped immediately. Good thing I ran fast. Netizen B, damn it. I seriously suspect Brother Prosperity is the traitor behind the scenes. Otherwise, how could he be so accurate? Netizen C, who cares if he's the traitor or not? Either way, we made money. No matter what, Brother Prosperity is my second real father. Smack Huang Haitao was so angry his lungs were about to burst, and his face was the color of pig liver. What is going on? Just what on earth is going on here? The financial officer, Xiao Liu, lowered his head and said, trembling with fear, it's said that it's because someone is dumping the stocks of our companies in massive quantities at low prices, and then buying them back in massive quantities before continuing to dump them at low prices. Dumping at low prices. Is that person insane? Huang Haitao asked in bewilderment. Who would do such a thing that harms others without benefiting themselves? Oh, I don't know either. Xiao Liu shook his head. Brother Huang, could it possibly be that kid Shen Xun's doing? Director Hu roared, blowing his top and glaring. It must be the good work of this brat. I'm going to slaughter him. Where is Shen Xun? Huang Haitao's gaze turned cold, a faint trace of killing intent surfacing in his eyes. This kid actually dares to play me Butler Liu. Tell him to come see me. Butler Liu on the side bowed slightly to show his understanding. Immediately dump all the stocks in our hands. Leave absolutely nothing behind. This kid is insane. Huang Haitao suddenly remembered that he still held a bunch of shares in companies, which were originally just shell corporations, with no business development at all. If they didn't sell them quickly right now, they might not even earn back their money in their next lives. I have already had people get on it, but I'm afraid. The financial officer stole a glance at Huang Haitao. The moment he saw the other party's look that seemed ready to kill, he didn't dare to speak anymore. Afraid of what? Make it completely clear to me all at once. I'm afraid it's too late. The current stock price, compared to its peak, is already close to being cut in half. The three big bosses froze up at the same time, unable to believe their ears for a moment. Director Huang hurriedly turned on the computer. After logging onto the stock exchange, he discovered that it was indeed just as the financial officer had said. The stock price was close to being cut in half. List our price slightly lower then, Director Huang hurriedly said. It won't work. The person who is suppressing our stock price is listing at an even lower price. Moreover, aside from him, it seems that on the trading market, there aren't many people left who dare to buy the stocks of these companies. Damn it. The blue veins on Huang Haitao's forehead bulged, and his eyes were completely bloodshot. Where is Shen Xun? Tell him to get over here and see me immediately. My lord, Mr. Shen says he can't pull himself away right now, and says you have to go see him in person. That goddamn piece of trash? Wang Haitao was about to grind his back teeth to pieces. With a grand wave of his hand, let's go. Let's go see what kind of medicine. This guy is selling in his gourd. You could see their group aggressively barging into the trading room. They saw Shenshun sitting all by himself at the trading seat, clipping his nails, his eyes not focused on the screen at all. Shenshun, you punk, are you looking for death? Director Hu had the most explosive temper. He marched up to Shenshun in a towering rage and flipped his entire desk over. Director Hu, what are you doing? Shenshun asked with a face full of confusion. His expression looked just like that of an innocent child. What am I doing? Don't you have any damn clue in your heart? Director Hu was so enraged his teeth were itching. Didn't you do something to the stock prices behind our backs? What happened to the stock prices? The monitor broke just now, so I have no idea what occurred. You're looking for death. Seeing that he refused to admit it, Director Hu's rage consumed his mind. He balled his fist and was just about to swing it right into Shenshun's face. Shenshun let out a soft snort and raised his left arm, catching Director Hu's hook punch squarely and perfectly. Instead, he followed up with a straight punch that landed right on Director Hu's gut. Director Hu groaned in pain, hurriedly taking 2 steps back. As he clutched his stomach and panted heavily, they could never have imagined that in order to make money in his past life, Shenshun would even go to a boxing gym every night to work as a sparring partner. Essentially a human punching bag. Combat techniques and methods were things he had long been thoroughly immersed in. As long as he didn't encounter an opponent from a heavier weight class than himself, Shenshun believed he could stand undefeated, let alone someone like Director Hu who lived in comfort, had a body ruined by tobacco and alcohol, and was already half a century old. For Shenshun, taking him down didn't take the slightest bit of effort. Someone come! Director Hu roared, completely beside himself with rage. The moment his voice fell, Shenshun dashed forward like an arrow, accurately gripping Director Hu's neck. After throwing him down to the ground, he used a joint lock posture to pin him firmly to the floor. You're dead. Director Hu still wanted to talk tough, but the force in Shenshun's hand suddenly intensified. The former cried out in pain. Shenshun let go of old Hu. Huang Haitao and Director Huang, who were near the door, were both startled by Shenshun's sharp and agile methods. Shenshun, let's talk. Huang Haitao forcefully suppressed his own rage. You should be very clear that if you dare to touch old Hu, you and your family won't live to see the moon tonight. Threatening me, a fierce look erupted in Shenshun's eyes. 3 days ago, perhaps you guys could indeed threaten me, but now you can't. So the stock price thing really was your doing, wasn't it? Huang Haitao's face twitched. Just what on earth did you do? What could I possibly do? I have been under your surveillance 24 hours a day. So what could I have possibly pulled off? Shenshun sneered. You wanted me to pump up the stock prices. Did I not pump them up? Since you already know everything, then let's lay our cards on the table and speak frankly. Although Huang Haitao wished he could tear Shenshun to pieces, he couldn't touch him right now, because at this moment only he could salvage this situation. You have to know that the 3 of them had injected close to over 4 billion in cash back and forth. Based on the current situation where the stock prices were cut in half, the total market value of these companies should be around 5 billion. But they only held 70% of the shares of these companies in their hands, while the remaining 30% was still in the hands of retail investors. In other words, even if they sold all of their stocks, it would only be worth around 3.5 billion. Counting the 4+ billion they invested, they were actually at a net loss of over 500 million. The absolute worst part was that the stock prices of these companies were still dropping, and they hadn't completely finished selling the stocks in their hands yet. Under these circumstances, if the 3 big bosses didn't want to suffer a loss, they would need Shenshun to show mercy and stop dumping the stocks at low prices. But after all, the 3 big bosses still held Shenshun's family as hostages in their hands. They also had enough trump cards to negotiate with Shenshun. After this series of operations, the scale returned to a balanced level, with both sides equally holding leverage over each other. No matter who wins out in the end, the open and secret struggles between both sides are finally going to be put to a full stop today. Since we both know some things perfectly well, then let's lay our cards on the table and speak frankly. Huang Haitao went straight to the point. What is your purpose? My purpose? What purpose could I possibly have? Shenshun smiled non-committally. Boss Huang, I don't understand your words at all. Then let me ask even more directly. Huang Haitao was already consumed by rage at this point, feeling both angry and anxious. What will it take for you to stop? You're nothing more than dissatisfied with my placing your sister and you under house arrest. Fine, I can release them. But the prerequisite is that you must help me stabilize the stock prices. Shenshun sneered. Boss Huang, when you place other people's parents under house arrest, did you ever think that there would be a day like this? The 2 lumps of wrinkled fat on Huang Haitao's face twitched violently a few times, yet he didn't dare to lose his temper. The previous matters were all a misunderstanding. Can we sit down and have a proper talk now? Sit down and talk. Shenshun swept a glance out of the window from the corner of his eye. The outside is currently full of your people. Then what exactly do you want? At this moment, the brick phone in Huang Haitao's hand suddenly rang out. Shenshun smiled faintly. What are you standing there dazed for? Aren't you going to answer the phone? What if it's very important? Huang Haitao narrowed his eyes, tossing the brick phone to Director Huang behind him. You answer it. As for you, whatever other conditions you have, feel free to name them. Whether it's money, women, or houses, I can get them all sorted out for you. Shen Xun smiled and shook his head. With a swift chop of his hand, he struck hard against the back of Director Hu's neck. Seeing Director Hu groan and fall to the ground unconscious, he asked, My dear Mr. Huang, do you think I would be lacking in these things? Shen Xun clapped his hands, pulled a chair over with a yank, and crossed his legs to look Huang Haitao dead in the eye. Let's not be in a hurry. It won't be too late to wait until he finishes answering the phone first. Hearing this, Huang Haitao turned his head to look at Director Huang, only to see that the latter's face looked incredibly awful. A trace of an ominous premonition began to spread out from behind his back. After Director Huang hung up the phone, his expression was solemn and gloomy. The stock price of one company has already dropped to 1 yuan, and the rest of the companies are basically cut in half and cut in half again. We have only sold less than half of the stocks in our hands. According to preliminary estimates, the 4+ billion we injected has basically gone down the drain. Upon hearing this news, Huang Haitao's entire being became somewhat dazed. In his whole life, this was the very first time he experienced this feeling of falling from heaven into hell. What was the concept of a billion in the 90s? 4 billion was more than 2 years of net profit income for their group. 4 billion was enough to contract all the land within a 5-kilometer radius of the central area of Zhuzhou. This 4+ billion was the vital capital of their group. Once it fractured, the entire group would face the risk of collapsing. Huang Haitao's vision went black, and his whole body fell backward. Fortunately, Director Huang was quick-eyed and fast-handed enough to catch him. You win? Speak up. What do you want to do? Although Huang Haitao didn't want to admit it, he had to admit that he had been played like a fool by the young man in front of him. Do you know what the market will become? After you manipulate the shell company's stock prices and sell them at high prices. Shen Xun sneered, it will become an absolute mess. Countless people will end their own lives because of this greed of yours. Shen Xun's own parents in his past life had ended their lives exactly like that. He understood very well how painful it was to lose one's parents. Countless complete families could end up ruined and broken just because of these capitalists who hold capital in their hands. Shen Xun absolutely would not allow such a tragedy to continue unfolding. Therefore, he chose to risk his life to deal with the 3 big bosses. I didn't expect you to be such a big philanthropist. Huang Haitao sat on the ground and burst into laughter. I didn't expect you to be such a big philanthropist. Huang Haitao sat on the ground and burst into laughter. So noble, you are incredible. But that is just you alone. People are all selfish and greedy. What does other people's bankruptcy have to do with me? Why should I empathize with others? I didn't expect that someone like you who disrupted market order and violated the law could still say such words even at a time like this. Shen Xun shook his head. To some extent, I actually quite admire you. Do you still not realize that it was precisely because of your greed and selfishness that you lost over 4 billion yuan? Huang Haitao pushed away with a loud shout. Director Huang, who was supporting him, standing up trembling. He pointed at Shen Xun and said, You are the winner of this struggle, so you stand on the moral high ground. Whatever you say about me matters not. But have you ever thought about what if I had won? I would be eagerly reported by the news media, become a legend in the investment world, and become a figure written into the history books, leaving a name that lasts for eternity. This is the iron law. Shen Xun silently listened to his words, then shook his head. I don't deny your logic, but your methods are far too vile. I completely cannot agree with them, and neither will the law. What a joke. Do I need you or the law to agree with me? I am the law of Zhuzhou. Without anyone noticing, when Huang Haitao actually had a shiny black pistol in his hand. Shen Xun's heart tightened. It seemed this guy was a sore loser and was ready to flip the table. Huang Haitao expertly chambered a round and aimed the muzzle at Shen Xun, shedding his usual warm and genial disguise. At this moment, he bared his true vicious fangs. His movements showed not the slightest hesitation. After raising the gun and aiming, he quickly fired, not giving Shen Xun a single chance. The entire room was instantly filled with the pungent smell of gunpowder. Fortunately, Shen Xun's eyesight was sharp enough. From the moment the man placed his hand behind his back, he had already noticed something was wrong. After discovering it was a pistol, his body immediately made a reaction, dodging right behind the trading desk. The landing point of the bullet was right next to Director Hu's head. If it had been off by just 2 more centimeters, Director Hu's head would have probably been shot through. Holy cow. When this guy gets ruthless, he doesn't even care about his own people. Tell Director C's villa to bury his parents alive for me. Shen Xun understood that Huang Haitao was consumed by rage and wanted to make a desperate final struggle. If you guys still don't come out, I'm really going to be killed by him. Shen Xun simply stopped pretending altogether and shouted loudly toward the window. Huang Haitao smiled viciously while holding the gun. Now you know you're wrong. Too late, I must shoot you dead today no matter what. Even if Jesus came, he couldn't save you. I say Huang Hai Tao, what you say doesn't matter. We mainlanders don't believe in Jesus. A crisp female voice came from right behind Huang Hai Tao. Huang Hai Tao subconsciously turned around to check the situation, only to find his hands grabbed by someone without him realizing when. Following that, a sharp, miserable shriek echoed through the entire villa. Who are you? Don't you know I am Huang Hai Tao? The local tyrant of Juzhou. The female officer easily disarmed the pistol from Huang Haitao's hand and casually